What's going on, guys? Welcome to Superwise. Welcome to the Superlair. And today we got a good show because we are talking The Flash. Finally, The Flash. And I'm so happy to be joined by the usuals, my homies, my friends. We got JG, Shaolin, Ibby, and Kamuzu. How you guys doing?
Great, man. How are you? Live streaming from multiple different sources. This is on your channel. This is on the Cinema Nerd YouTube channel. Subscribe.
Yeah, yeah. I cracked down on the new StreamYard basic plan, as they call it, and got a new laptop. Want to test it out, and it's like the perfect time. The Flash, man, the Flash. We're gonna talk about it. I mean, it's the journey has been crazy to get to this movie.
How
This
long has it
movie
been? Like
started development. What was
10
that?
years? How long
Yeah,
has it been? 10 years?
it's the first article that ever came out about it was 2014.
When the Flash show is starting.
Wow.
2014, they announced that Ezra Miller was going to star in the movie, and then we got like it was just development hell. It's crazy
It was the Flash TV show on the CW had a run of 9 seasons and it ended before the movie even came out.
That is hilarious. That's very funny.
JG joining us with the metaverse drip.
Yeah, I'd even
Alright.
bring up, yeah, JG's got the new look here.
As a master of the 10,000 chambers of Shaolin, I did not lower myself to technology, except for today for Superwise.
Haha, I dig it. It's actually crazy that we have a tangible movie to talk about, but we're going to talk about it. Let me share my screen to show just the wallpaper. Make it look nice. This is a nice wallpaper.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I would hang this up. This looks really cool. Uh, where do we even begin, man? It's there's so much to talk about. I guess let's start off with overall thoughts. What did we think about the movie generally? I loved it. It was overhyped. The Warner Brothers Discovery team got like Stephen King. They got Tom Cruise. They like I feel so bad for the movie because they hyped it up so much. David Zaslav and James Gunn was saying it's one of the best superhero movies ever made. I don't think that. It's not in my top 10, let's say. But it's so insanely fun. I've only seen it once. I plan to go see it again next weekend, or this weekend rather. And I can't wait to just have fun with it again. And the cameos and the ending is we're definitely gonna get into it, but it's heartfelt, it's fun, it's a blast of a movie, and I really enjoyed it. So we're gonna work down the panel. JG, what did you think about The Flash?
I am so conflicted with this movie because I can argue for it and I can argue against it. So it's like if you're around people who hate the movie, I start to hate it the more I talk about it. If I'm around people that like it, I like it the more I talk about it. So it's first time around, it was like a honeymoon phase, right? Because you're so hyped for it, you're looking at it it's like, wow, okay, I'm digging it. Second time around, I saw like, okay, I see why people don't like it, right? And so I don't know, man. I'm still conflicted with it. I like it, but then I don't like it. If that makes any sense.
Interesting. Very conflicted. Yeah. Kamuzu, what did you think about The Flash?
I thought it was cool, I guess. Well, first off, this movie got the Glock 3000, like, even up to the release. So that was like, that kind of annoyed me. But yeah, I thought it was cool. It was a good time at the movies. I didn't have large expectations for it. But, I was surprised.
Okay. Yeah, not bad. Ibby, what did you think about this film?
Well, first of all, I think we all just gotta really appreciate the fact that it exists. It has a runtime. It has credits. We all went to the movie theater, presumably. I mean, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. Gotta see this in a movie theater.
Yeah, we saw it.
I
It
will not
exists.
incriminate myself.
That's something to be yeah. That's something to be happy with because, so much turmoil in the making of this film. It's a blast. It is a very briskly paced. It's very fun. The humor I thought was honestly the standout because it takes over the majority of the film. I said Miller because that's what I'm about to talk about. Ezra Miller. Love them, hate them, think that they're a maniac, think that they need therapy. Whatever you may think of them, they do a fantastic job. They give a really nuanced performance in multiple ways. They really nail the comedy acting off of themselves. The two Barrys feel very distinct from one another, and that's both a testament to the quality of the writing and Miller's performance. He actually feels like Barry Allen in this film. He feels like an actual superhero and not just a comic relief character in the ensemble. It never reaches the heights of, let's say, the running back and like changing time scene in the Snyder Cut, but all around, this is his best performance and showing in the DCEU, which is coming to an end in some weird way. We still don't know how that's going to materialize. I think one of the things I was very happy with, especially now that Andy Muschietti is directing my precious new Batman movie. I need Batman to be handled very delicately. He turned out to be a really exceptional action director, especially that opening sequence of the baby shower, the way he depicted super speed by really zooming out and distorting the frame, and we just see him running. That I thought that was incredible. So many cool action sequences. It felt like we actually had a connected universe for a second there, which, the missed potential. But my only complaint with him from an action filmmaking perspective is that I think he relied a bit too heavily on CGI instead of on work. And speaking of the CGI, whether it's intentional or not, it looks bad. Like
Awful.
Let's not sugarcoat it. It looks like a PS2 cutscene. It looks like it's from Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It's not good. That
Horrendous.
said, if you're willing to look past that, it's one heck of a time. And also, I think it has this rock solid emotional core of Ezra's Barry Allen and his relationship with his mother, his late mother, and his father. My favorite moments of the movie were not the big bombastic ones with Michael Keaton and Sasha Kaye and such, but just small moments like him getting one last conversation with his mother in the store when he changes time, or him just holding his father's hand at his appeal, and they just share that look. They just share that emotional moment. Yeah. These are what I wish was expanded upon and fleshed out, because the point of science fiction and the point of this kind of media is that it answers the questions and explores the ideas that normal realistic fiction cannot. So that's what I wish there was sort of more of, because I feel like there was something super rock solid there that could have made for a much more profound experience. But regardless of its flaws, and there are a lot of them, it was one heck of a time. It was thoroughly enjoyable. And yeah.
Yeah, going back to CGI, it was I couldn't believe my eyes. It was so bad. It was like the Chrono Ball is awesome. Like the concept is very, very cool. It's so cool. And then you see the CGI all around him, and it's like it's
pretty gross.
I get the idea is that they're supposed to look sort of intangible and plasticky because this is his sort of distorted view of what the past and all these events look at. He's not seeing it in full detail. I get that idea, just there's a difference between idea and execution, and they certainly fumbled the execution there.
Yeah, I get the idea, but that doesn't mean that like you couldn't have better CGI. Like it was just it man, it took me out of the movie a couple of times. But that's really my biggest complaint of this film is the CGI. That's a testament to how good the film actually is. But I guess let's get into the specifics. Like, let's get into the characters and the story. Let me pull up new image.
Hold on, he's working on the PowerPoint.
Yeah, just like to have it, nice and detailed.
Looks like he's escaping the cops.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Man, the story is it's just so insanely fun. I haven't had this much fun with a comic book movie in a while.
Well,
It's going to
no,
be
since the last comic book movie, Across the Spider-Verse.
that's actually true. Yeah, I mean, it's
Mhm.
crazy to think we got a streak. We got Guardians 3. We got Across the
Spider-Verse and the
Spider-Verse.
Flash.
We got in the Flash. Hopefully, Blue Beetle continues that trend. But yeah, we've been winning. We've been winning. It's just such a fun movie. I had a blast with it. Very heartfelt, very fun. Let's see, where do I want to go? And Andy Muschietti was like such a great director for this, and him handling Brave and the Bold. Oh man, that's perfect. That is perfect because he did such a good job with Batfleck, and he did an even better, cooler job with Michael Keaton. I grew up with Michael Keaton's Batman, and seeing him do stuff that he couldn't do back in the day because of we didn't have the advancements. It was so cool seeing him glide, seeing just the fight scenes in Russia. That was the standout with Keaton. That was so insanely cool. Man, Andy Muschietti is gonna crush it.
Yeah,
In terms of,
hopefully they can just nail down a solid script and ensure
Yeah.
he uses CGI properly, because we now know he can handle it, and this is a good stepping stone. So now he's learned, he knows how big blockbuster filming works. He worked on some indie projects, then he went to the It films, and then now he's on this, and then hopefully he can deliver something really strong with Batman. You mentioned Michael Keaton. This is my biggest hot take regarding the movie.
uh-oh.
He was very poorly used. I'm sorry. I know.
I
know.
agree.
I
I
But look,
agree.
here's the
I
thing.
will say I agree to a point, and I'll specify. But go on.
So, few things. First of all, probably my funniest thought about the movie in retrospect, he's explaining the multiversal system, which I actually think is one of my favorite systems and mechanics of how the multiverse is going to work. I like the way he explains it with the spaghetti analogy. I think that's actually a really good tangible way. I think it allows for this fun multiverse scenario. First of all, how the heck do you know, man?
I was sitting in that theater.
Man, yes.
I was sitting in the theater. I was like, how did Tim Burton's Michael Keaton get so well versed in the multiverse? That was like one of my nitpicks. I was like, how? Where did you learn
this? The thing
this?
is, it's not just about that. That's just a minor thing that honestly enhanced my enjoyment of the movie. I'm not going to lie. But I think the depiction of his character, I think it's awesome to see him in action. I think the action sequences with him are great. I think they handled those one-liners of him saying, yeah, I'm Batman. Or let's get nuts. Right? I think those one-liners were good. I think Keaton's performance was pretty good. I definitely didn't expect his first appearance to be as this weird hobo, long hair,
I did not
attacking him. It seems like in the film it's supposed to play off as a surprise because we have this slow pan in on his face as he looks up and we see it's Michael Keaton. But they didn't really do anything with him. Now, I'm not gonna lie, as much as I love the Tim Burton films, he's not a particularly well fleshed out character. Let's be real here. He's just as insane as the Joker. He is a maniac. He is not doing it because he wants to. He's not being Batman because he wants to bring justice or, yeah, absolutely. Spaghetti was peak. But he doesn't want to bring justice or prevent any child from feeling the pain he felt as Batman traditionally does. He doesn't even want vengeance. He just broke in that alley. It turned him insane, and he just became a maniac. Okay, he's insane. All right, let's be real. And then, first of all, it's okay that he isn't insane in this movie. He doesn't have to be. But there's just one tiny conversation where he's kind of having a heart-to-heart with the main Barry 1 or something. And that was a good scene. I wish you could have used this character on a more emotional level. I think this film does a lot of things better than No Way Home, for example, which I guess is the closest of his contemporaries. But it uses Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield as strong supporting characters that work on an emotional level. And I think this movie does a lot of things better than No Way Home, but it kind of fumbles that. It doesn't really attempt to use Keaton in a way to further the story. It just feels, oh, hey, wouldn't it be fun if he goes in another multiverse? There's got to be a different Batman. Wait, what if it's Michael Keaton? I think that's an interesting idea that they didn't really flesh out, but from a fan service perspective, it is pretty fun. And I'm not going to lie, I have major nostalgia for the score of those movies. Not because of the movies, not because of the Burton films, but because of Lego Batman, the video game from 2008, where they used the Tim Burton scores for Batman. That was one of my first introductions to Batman. And just seeing and hearing that on the big screen, where I'd only seen it on a television screen, it was awesome. The score was my favorite, one of my favorite parts, especially pertaining to Michael Keaton. And from a fan service perspective, good. Story perspective, nah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say this. I agreed to you with a point. I wanted a little more from Michael Keaton, because the only thing we get from him, after everything we've gone through with the Tim Burton films, the only like new detail we learn is that he's made Gotham safer. I would have loved to hear, did he get back together with Catwoman? What was the impact of Alfred's death on him? Did he like suddenly change, and did he have a no kill rule after, the Burton films? Like, I would have loved to, explore a little more. So I agree to you with a certain point, but Michael Keaton surfaced the story, and I really enjoyed him. Thought he was a nice addition. Nostalgia bait, absolutely. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. I mean, the huge ass pause for the audience to like react was like so noticeable.
And it was pretty awkward because my theater was completely silent, which sort of signals the disregard and like, indifference that general audiences have developed towards the DC brand. And it doesn't help that the superhero genre, the comic book genre as a whole, is kind of faltering at the moment. People just don't care about DC. They really don't. They label it with a huge, broad brush. They think, oh, I don't like DC. They don't know the variety or the depth that the DC brand has to offer, but they just see it as, oh, DC, that's pretty lame, right? So I think that's why it needs to really be revitalized, because this didn't hit the box office the same way it should have. I think it's better as a film than what the box office is giving it. I think bringing Keaton back should be as big of a deal as bringing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back. He is the guy, the depiction of Batman, the most iconic hero of the 20th century. He skyrocketed the comic book genre. 1989, it was one of the biggest movies at the box office. Heck, it might have been the biggest movie at the box office. Following up Christopher Reeve's Superman, it showed that Superman wasn't just a flash in the pan, that people liked comic books, that people were interested in these kinds of stories. And to see him back on the big screen should be the biggest draw. And they seem like they kind of wanted it to be the biggest draw because of how heavily they focused on him for the marketing. But I don't know, man. It's just the current state of the movies that it didn't nail it the way it should have. But I don't know. It's sort of a missed opportunity. But look, I never thought we would see a day where Michael Keaton laced up the boots again. So I think we got to be thankful for the little things, like him just being in the film at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised at how it underperformed. I was like, man, you really need to reboot this DCEU because it's just the name right now is tarnished. People have this preconceived notion on what DC is. James Gunn needs to make it clear that Blue Beetle is a reboot. Give me the new DC Studios logo and intro. You have to market it as that because if this underperformed, imagine how Blue Beetle is gonna do. Like, I don't know. It's disappointing because I love the movie. I had so much fun with the movie, and I think it's such a good blockbuster for the audience, and people just didn't want to show. But any thoughts on that, JG or Kumuzu?
Yeah, to pick back on the Batman thing. I mean, it's you look at 1989 Batman, where Michael Keaton, when he was chosen for the role, there was some backlash. He was too short.
Oh yeah.
He didn't really look like Bruce Wayne, but history has shown that he is probably, if not the best, top 3 best Batman Bruce Waynes we've had in cinema. And so seeing him in the trailers prior to the movie being, put out, I was hyped. I don't know about everybody, but if you're a Batman DC film fan, you were hyped. But when we see the movie, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say it's true, Mr. OK. It's true, because the Batman did very well. Like Elseworlds does very well. DCEU people have given up on. So
right, but I'd argue if the DCEU didn't tarnish the overall DC brand, I think the Batman would have made $1 billion because he's Batman. Automatically, he should be $1 billion draw.
Yeah. JG, you want to finish?
Oh yeah. So we get. Of course, I would have much rather had Thomas Wayne, but when we got Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne, I was hoping he'd be a Thomas Wayne type. And like you guys said, I was not expecting the hermit style, long-haired, hippie-looking Bruce Wayne.
I was not expecting that.
But he was funny. I don't think he's supposed to be funny as a Bruce Wayne character, but he was kind of funny. No, him talking about the space-time continuum. The spaghetti was genius. It was simple. I did love the fact talk about the little intersect where it stays the same no matter what you do. That intersect's going to stay the same, and we see that kind of a shadow later on.
No, keep going.
I did love. It's just back to love for that black suit with that bat symbol with the yellow accent. Oh my god, I love that suit. Love it. But yeah, for losing faith in the DCEU, I understand it. I think James Gunn kind of was premature in putting out Slate, even though we were hyped for it. You put out Slate that early. You cut out Batgirl because the film felt like it was multiple people directing it or changing the stories. It felt like it. With Batgirl leaving, there's really no point of even having a Michael Keaton Bruce Wayne anymore because he wasn't going to be in the future as far as we know. And I don't know, man. It's in the hype, prior to it, James Gunn, like says James Gunn, Steven Spielberg, Tom Cruise hyping this movie up, and we're watching it. It should have gone straight to HBO Max.
Not one of the greatest. He said it was the greatest comic book movie ever.
Yes, it should have gone to HBO Max.
One.
It should have gone to HBO Max. That's what it should have done.
Nah, I disagree with that. I think every movie deserves the theatrical experience. I think putting a movie on streaming is just going to undermine it. But yeah, you make a solid point that it was overhyped. And the reason that a lot of people are not, thoroughly pleased with it is because they think, oh, well, that wasn't the greatest movie of all time. You can't just tell me it's the greatest movie of all time and not deliver. The best strategy is to under promise, over deliver. That gets people super happy with the product. When you set these sky high expectations, don't be surprised when there's a bit of, whiplash and recoil when it doesn't naturally meet those sky high expectations.
That was a mistake because coming out of CinemaCon, it was the highest praise possible. And when that Rotten Tomatoes score came in, people are confused, like, wait, what? It was just that's why it's overhyped as much as I love the movie. They did too much. With Shazam 2, they didn't do enough marketing. With The Flash, they did too much marketing.
Too much.
Even still, it didn't help the box office. It's crazy. Oh,
look,
man.
I mean, if you
crazy.
let's be real here. This movie is not like a Michelin star Gordon Ramsay restaurant. It's like an Applebee's or a Denny's, right? But what do you say? Hey, you see this Applebee's or this Chili's or this whatever? This is the greatest restaurant in the history of ever, right? If you say that, that's going to sow a little bit of mistrust. And the people who heard you say that and then eat at Applebee's or Chili's or whatever, and they say, hey, this is pretty good, but this isn't, a Michelin star restaurant, then obviously you're going to get disappointed because you set the bar too high. And I think the way we frame things is going to shape how we perceive it. So I think the best way to evaluate this movie is to look at it on its own merits. How good is it? How well crafted and well made is it? Does the actual choice of story work? Does it make effective use of the Flashpoint source material? Was it even the right move to do that? What's the philosophy behind making a movie like this? Why do it this way? Look at it analytically, and then we have to do our best to subjectively look at the art how it is rather than what they hyped it up to be.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because I think it's such a good movie, but and you hear Zachary Levi talking about Shazam 3, like, bro, it ain't gonna happen.
What
Nah,
is he turned 18 already? The whole point of the character is that he's a kid, a teenager who becomes a superhero. What's next? Is he gonna have a midlife crisis? Is that the next plot point?
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. We'll definitely get to that at the end.
JG,
But
you mentioned. I just want to make one more point, but JG,
Mhm.
you mentioned how Keaton talks about how there are some things you just can't change, and I think that's what the more thematic level of the movie comes down to. You can't change the past. Whatever Barry does, bringing his mother back is not going to work for him. It doesn't work out. But what he can do is go back to the past. And yeah, we can't actually go back to the past. But what he does do is change the future. He changes his dad's future fate. We have the ability to lead our lives in a certain way that lead to the best outcome. That power is in our hands. But if we have this desperation that we're engulfed in and flooded in to try to change things that we just can't change or try to resist reality, we're doomed to fail and we're doomed to be disappointed. And that's just not the most effective way to go about things. So I think from a message in a thematic exploration of that, of moral argument in that, I think it was really well done, what little they had of it. That said, I wish there was more. It's not economical. It's very underdone. My favorite scenes in the movie are of that. It's him, again, holding his hands with his father or saying one last goodbye to his mother who doesn't know it's him. For a second, I thought his mother would realize that, oh, this is my kid, but an adult.
Yeah,
I'm really glad that didn't happen. That would have been
because she gave him
very
that look.
easy.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad they didn't do that. That was the strongest part. And it doesn't have to be too complicated. Some of the most beloved sci-fi or fantasy or bombastic blockbusters like this that don't have realistic elements, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, it has a very effective message and it's super economical. You didn't have to make this movie 3 hours to have a poignant and resonant emotional message. You could have done it like Star Wars. Star Wars is one of the most beloved films of all time, not because it was revolutionary and very well made, because it told you to believe in yourselves and inspired so many people just through this silly sci-fi movie about a bunch of robots and a Death Star and such. You could have really emotionally resonated with people with this thing about a dude who runs really fast and a dude who dresses up like a bat. And to an extent, it did do that. And to an extent, it did that really well. I would just wish that's where more of the focus was. It feels like this was definitely a roller coaster movie, a well-made roller coaster movie, an awesome roller coaster movie. But when you plant seeds of something else, I would like you to actually grow the tree.
That's fair. I want to say that going back to the original point, the spaghetti analogy, that was great. I enjoyed that. And what you guys were talking about is absolutely true because number one, I thought Ezra Miller, they did a fantastic job. I hated Ezra Miller in this role, and they just made me do a 360 or a 180 rather. And
360 would made you love them and hate them again.
Right. But they sold me on the emotion. Barry is a more fleshed out character, made me care about his situation. And I love the theme of the movie. It really hit for me that with Ben Affleck, one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie was Ben Affleck, talking to Barry saying, he was saying, like, don't let your past define you. Don't let your tragedy define you. That was it. It's okay to move on, essentially. And one of my favorite callbacks in the movie, I mean, I truly, truly loved it, but it's just so simple. And yeah, I love it. Barry's like, hey, you want to hang out? And Ben Affleck's like, not this time, next time. and he gets in the car and he drives away. And that's the last we're going to see of Ben Affleck's Batman.
Yeah.
That got me. Character-wise and, outside context. And then later in the movie when Keaton dies, he says the very same thing. Not this time, kid, next time. I love that. It is so simple, yet there's something about it that spoke to me and just made me like sit up in my chair and go like, wow, they really, they really made it a point to call back that line and make it mean something.
The idea of, there are all these universal constants. There are things that are always going to arise in some way, shape, or form. And that's what is imbued in both of those Batmans. And that's what I love about Batman, that every kind of interpretation still feels truly like Batman. Even the awful ones, I can say that's Batman, and he has so much range. But enough about Batman. This was a dang good Flash movie, and I'm glad they managed to keep a solid focus on Flash, or at least the two Flashes, as compared to making a Batman Flashpoint or, just a Batman film or overwhelmed by cameos. I think they were used sparingly, and although I wish they were used differently, I think the ratio of Flash to everyone else was pretty solid.
Yeah, agreed. And I there's a perfect way to have our new guest enter, a fellow YouTuber, M Enterprises. How you doing, man?
Hey, thanks. What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Wow, that it's awesome that you could join. This is the first time we're speaking one-on-one. He's got an awesome YouTube channel. And what do you think of The Flash, man?
Yeah, I saw it around Friday, like when it came out. I had a pretty good time with it. It's not like the best superhero movie ever made or anything, but I think it had a really good balance with its pacing and like the overall themes of like grief and just acceptance. That I think the performances really enhanced that.
Yeah,
absolutely. That was part of the things we were just talking about. When it's done, and I wish it was honestly done more and handled like more frequently and more deeply, but when it was done, I think that was pretty poignant.
Yeah, agreed. And I want to ask, how did you guys feel about Supergirl, Sasha Calle? Whoever wants to go first.
She good in that damn suit. I'll say that. Oh my gosh, she was hot in that suit.
I cannot condone this infatuation. Okay,
I won't not
costume.
I won't not disagree with JG. I can see why people want to keep her.
See you guys next time.
No, but in all seriousness, I thought she didn't have much to do. But for the little screen time that she had, I thought she was good. Would I bring her back for Woman of Tomorrow? There's a lot of potential there. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but honestly, if we're rebooting, I would recast just for, she's Cavill's Supergirl. I think if we're gonna have hopefully David Cornsweet, have a new Supergirl with his Superman. But that's just my take. I liked her in the movie though. Her action scenes were cool.
Ideally, I would like to, if you're rebooting, I'd like to recast, but considering how she single-handedly carried the promotion for this movie and attended all the fan screenings and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just I don't know. I feel like she could do a pretty good job with a Woman of Tomorrow type story, and she seems really passionate about the character.
Back in a different role other than Superman, because I agree with John and you, M. Nice meeting you, by the way.
That's good.
So I agree. She does a great job for what she's given. She's not given much material, frankly. I think the scenes we did get of her were cool. The thing is, since she has so minimal screen time, she doesn't really have too much depth. So when they try to do things with her, she's like, I don't care about humans. They can all screw themselves. I'm gonna team up with Zod. Then she says, oh wait, Zod's killing humans. Never mind. I'm back, guys. That was pretty underdeveloped, pretty underwritten.
That was a pretty quick switch.
Yeah, it's I need to stab Zod. That's basically the entire Man of Steel character arc in maybe a minute and a half. That was pretty funny. So, but yeah, she felt like Henry Cavill's Superman. Oh, Oh, it would have been great to see them on screen together.
Forget about it.
That was a shame. So many missed opportunities with this iteration of DC. So many. But yeah, she was pretty great. I love the fact, the plot point of whatever they do, she and Keaton just keep dying. They can't save her.
Mhm.
And that,
I did not expect her to die, actually.
she used very well as serving the story. On her own, she's nothing special, but she serves the story in a unique way. She's supposed to be the savior, the thing that they're going for, the reason they meet up with Keaton, the reason Barry goes to get other Barry their powers, which, by the way, I love the plot point of main Barry losing his powers and transferring them to other Barry. I thought that was pretty clever. And we almost had a pseudo origin story with, oh, this is how my origin story played out. Let's do it again. So it explained the Flash's origins and showed his coming up without focusing on an origin story, which audiences nowadays are kind of sick of. I thought that was pretty clever, and probably the funniest scene in the movie is it's pretty over the top. Barry 2, other Barry, when he gets his powers, he just runs throughout the entire city. He gets naked.
I love that scene.
Clothes burned
No, it was
off. He has to
funny.
cover his thing with a frying pan. He phases through the floor, and his neighbor encounters him. That was pretty
funny.
hilarious.
My
Two other funniest moments. Barry tries to run with super speed, and he does that stupid run.
That's my favorite joke of the movie. I was gonna say that. I was cracking up at how they just addressed the criticism and they just made fun of it. That was hilarious.
Mhm.
And then the other favorite joke is we have this montage of Barry 2 using one of Keaton's Batman suits to craft his own suit. He's spray painting it and everything. And I knew the joke was coming. I knew, okay, he's gonna have to cut off the Batman ears.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was
the
dying.
way that scene was edited and put together, and then you just have that the music abruptly disappears, and you just see him. Just
that was hilarious.
The Batman ears very slowly, and there's just this rubbery squeak. That was hilarious. But what were we talking about? Supergirl. Yeah. Supergirl served the plot and allowed the conflict between Ezra and Ezra 2, or sorry, Barry and Barry 2. I can't separate this Barry Allen from Ezra Miller. I'm sorry, but it allowed Barry and Barry 2 to have their conflict, which Barry 2 is the main antagonist of the movie. Yeah, pretty much. Like towards the end. I mean, I'd argue this is a movie without a main villain. The threat is Zod, but Zod may as well just be, just the army or just a nuclear bomb. He himself doesn't matter in any significant way. He's just, okay, there's this obstacle, and now we have to overcome that obstacle. I found it very similar to Spot and Across the Spider-Verse. The true antagonist of that film is Miguel O'Hara, but it's sort of the conflict is between him and Miles because there's this outside threat of Spot. And even though it's a personified threat, it's just an unimportant threat that this is the threat that we have to deal with. Zod was used in the same way. And I get why Michael Shannon wasn't big on it, because he didn't really have any substance here. He was there because, oh, it's the Man of Steel plot, which I think was a clever decision, but also Zod's just kind of there. So take of that what you will.
Yeah, and going back to what you said, I mean, I love, there is no real main villain. I see the villain of the movie is Barry himself, because he has to learn the lesson that he didn't want to hear from Ben Affleck. And I love the moment where, Keaton's dying and Barry's trying and Barry's like, there's no way I could save you, right? And Keaton just says, you already did. That was such a good moment. This movie thematically hit on many levels for me, and I love that about it.
I just wish it was, leaned in more on it.
I would have loved more of that. There's a 4-hour cut of this movie that exists. I want to see it. I want to know what's in it. I really do.
Nerdman's ready. He's in the chat.
Sending a link.
Oh, geez.
Because I know he's very opinionated on it.
Yeah, we had a long discussion about it Sunday, I think, and it's, oh my goodness. Like I said, it's like
I think using another Barry to contrast this Barry, it's sort of the two sides of this issue. and how it turns out to be a causal loop. Barry 2 eventually becomes super old, super deformed, got this really creepy villainous suit now. After all the damage he's taken, he just can't resist trying to change the past. And that's, playing into the message of the movie and the conflict between them. Barry 2 ends up being the personification of what if Barry didn't learn his lesson. He's the example of what not to do here. And it's kind of tragic because he's such a likable character. And his death, in order to get rid of future Barry, just all the time travel shenanigans, doesn't necessarily make sense. No, but I care about story more than, logical semantics. But yeah, I think that was a pretty interesting choice to have it be, okay, it's Barry and Barry rather than Barry and Reverse Flash or Barry and Captain Cold or something.
Welcome, Nerdman. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna go back to Sasha real quick. I think initially besides her hotness, her line delivery early on, it was kind of, you could tell she's from a soap opera. This just felt like it early on, but as they got to the dramatic scenes where she's going off on Zod, like, "What did you do?" screaming at him.
Oh,
perfect.
Man.
I enjoyed that. It was really well done. But yeah, it just felt like a lot of her scenes may have been cut out because she was literally giving nothing to do for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see more, but Nerdman, I know generally your thoughts on The Flash, but what'd you think about it?
I think it's a really good film, and that's why I think it's a shame that they dropped the ball on two areas that would have made it a fantastic film. Like, I could have easily just said, this is the greatest live action multiverse movie. Of course, Across the Spider-Verse is better. It's an animated movie, and it's a part 2 of an animated movie, so it's gonna be better. But so is Flashpoint. Like the actual animated film is crazy like that. If you saw that on the big screen with graphics like in Across the Spider-Verse, you'd be thinking that's one of the best comic book movies of all time, right? Like, or The Dark Knight Returns or something. So I don't really count animated movies like that. But this one easily could have been the best, and it dropped the ball, and that's what and it opened itself up to criticism, and that's why I don't like. I have to keep it a buck and like just give it a hard time. And where it dropped the ball is kind of what you guys are praising, which I don't understand. Is like, where was the villain? It made it anticlimactic that there wasn't an actual villain doing something like behind the scenes. And then the second thing, and that there wasn't a climactic kind of like real battle or anything like that. And then the second thing for me, and the bigger thing, I think I could have dealt with the lack of villain and the anticlimactic ending. But the CGI, I can't fathom how they thought that was okay, and I've got some advice for DC that they're not going to listen to. But from now on, because I don't think James Gunn's plan is going to work in the light of what I've seen here.
Well, I mean, I guess any DC movies that are slated to come out, either that have already come out like Shazam or this movie or later on, is that they have the thing where they were already in development before Gunn already came in. So if you were in that position, I guess all you could really do is just try to salvage it in a way to not make it confusing for audiences. Because I guess we won't really see what James Gunn has to offer until next year with Creature Commandos, as all you can really do now is can't really cancel them. So I guess all you can really do is just have them released and see how audiences vibe with it.
Yeah.
Nerdman, dog, nice meeting you, but are you in a car or something?
No, I'm in a room full of stuff I'm to.
Okay.
No, I'm not in a
I was hearing automobile noises. So
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself when I'm not talking.
all right.
Yeah, I gotta disagree with the Nerd Man about the main. I mean, would it have been cool to have like a third act big fight and have more Dark Flash? Sure, but I think thematically, just having the villain be Barry himself, it was refreshing. It was different, very anticlimactic for some people, but for me, it worked. It was like good character stuff. But I understand why people don't, vibe with that.
I see Nerdman's point though. I think if the other Barry, alternate Barry, was maybe that Dark Barry, or Dark Flash didn't have to be in one shot towards the beginning and a few shots towards the end. If he was a more constant looming presence, because I literally forgot about him during the third act. But I think maybe there could have been more weight to that. Again, my biggest criticism is I wanted more of this. I wanted more of this. I wanted more of this, which is good because I don't think there's anything actively horrible about the movie except a few things, which we haven't gotten to. But yeah, I think could have been more climactic if you decided to do something with the cameos. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think we'll get to those at some point. The cameos.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's going to be a big topic. But I
yeah.
think also your point about the third act, Nerdman. Yeah, it was just in some desert. It was a desert with a CGI army. And look, if you're going to have a big CGI battle, at least make it exciting. It was a pretty dull CGI battle. Though I did like the partnership between the two Barrys because one of them was truly a mentor to the other. And then Barry, too, he was scared. He was actually terrifying. But, of course, courage is not having fear. It's acting in spite of it. And I thought I like the two Flashes here. So I think on a story level, it did its job as a third act should. The momentary Dark Flash did its job. But yeah, I agree. There was some stuff that was lacking that could have improved it.
Best action scenes to me were... No, go ahead. Okay, I'll finish it. I'll just say this real quickly. The best action scenes to me were the Michael Keaton Batman scenes. Him in Russia, I was so invested when Barry first meets Keaton, and he's you have the hobo fight, and a cool callback when Keaton throws the pan, and Barry looks at it like he did with the Batarang in Justice League. I really like that. But yeah, those were the most kinetic, almost like Matthew Vaughn-ish. I really enjoyed it. But
yeah,
I agree. I think the opening sequence was the best action. It was pretty creative. It falls into the trope of, Flash's power literally isn't to go fast. It's to slow down time. And I'm not big on that depiction. Like, I think there were good moments of him having super speed and we're seeing it in real time. And then also we had moments where we were seeing from his perspective where it's in slow-mo. And I love the gimmick of, okay, I have a calorie count. I got to get as many calories as I can so I can save these.
I thought that was really good because it's always been there in the Flash, like, that he has to do. Well, not that he has to do that, but they've never really used it as a kind of like almost a weakness. They've usually in the animated things or in the comics, it's kind of used as a joke. He just eats a lot. Whereas this, they actually used it as like a vulnerability almost. Almost like his kryptonite in a strange way. And I thought that was
is having a very high metabolism.
Right. So I kind of like that. That was fun. I'm interested in what people thought of the depiction by Ezra Miller of both Barry Allens. I was a big fan of it, but I know some people have problems with it. And I'll ask that question. But the other thing that I think, just in terms of DC, like what they have to understand about their characters is, and what people in general have to understand about their characters is that it is harder to do Flash than to do most of the, say, Marvel characters like, Iron Man or Spider-Man, right? The degree of difficulty to capture the Flash's power, other than just like how they capture speedsters sometimes, where you just see them in one spot and then you see them in the other, right? And it's kind of boring, or you just see everything kind of slowed down, like in the with Quicksilver or something like that, right? The degree of difficulty, if you want to capture like the Flash or Superman's powers or even Wonder Woman's powers in an interesting way, is that much more difficult. And they really need to like not cut these directors. They need to give them the budgets. If that means doing less films, then do less films. Pick 2 or 3, tighten up the scripts, make sure everything's perfect, and give them the budget. Rather than doing like 10 films, with 100 million each, and they're all gonna flop because like they just don't look as good as the MCU movies, for instance. And also the powers are more difficult to kind of depict. I mean, do you agree with me on that? Like that, someone like the Flash's powers is a lot harder to kind of get on camera than like Spider-Man.
It's a different. He sees the world differently. Spider-Man sees the world in the same way. Iron Man sees the world in the same way. Those are the 2 examples we use. But to make the Flash vulnerable, to make him feel not invincible, but to make his action sequences exciting, is a difficult conflict. But I think Muschietti handled that pretty well. I think the Flash powers were nicely done. I like that they incorporated phasing, because that's what
the phasing was awesome. But the concept behind it, all of the action scenes were great. I wasn't a big fan of the phasing. I thought he'd do some cooler stuff with how he showed the phasing. The one bit of the phasing I really liked was when he went through the, like when he was breaking into the place,
and he went through the door. Lab. He went through the lab. And he went through the door, and it like zoomed in, showing it on a molecular level that
that's what I wanted to see.
The other atoms, and then they zoomed out. That was the best CGI as well.
But then again, even that, I thought, like, let's do a little bit more realism here, where you kind of, it looked too animated when he went through, when you saw the kind of on a molecular, submolecular level. So I would have liked to even see that be a little bit kind of done a little bit better. But in general, the ideas that Andy Muschietti had for these action scenes were fantastic. Like that baby saving scene would have
loved it.
I mean, it was jaw-dropping, except those little bits where it just looked silly because the babies didn't look right. Or
those babies
they were horrendous. They were scary. It immediately took me out of the movie.
Bro,
think about
if that looked perfect.
Complete paralysis demon babies.
Especially one coming out the microwave. He picks it up.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's like the biggest meme from this movie.
Nightmare fuel.
I remember the moment I saw the babies, and I knew there was going to be a cool baby action sequences where he has to save babies. Well, my first thought was, oh no, Barry's going to put bullets in their mouths.
But what I would have loved to see,
it didn't help that it was Ezra Miller and that it was a microwave.
Like we know their alleged history with babies.
Yeah,
and I love the fact. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I think a big issue with like trying to adapt the Flash's powers is like consistency, which you see in like the Flash TV show, for example. Like his power set is very inconsistent. Like at one point, like he can dodge bullets like crazy, and then next he's getting punched by like regular villains with like no abilities whatsoever.
Yeah, that show's so dumb.
It's like season 5 is just like a dude with a dagger.
If he's not he's as strong as a normal human. It's only when he's in the super speed that he'll get like strength and
right. But the thing is that's not thoroughly communicated, because it just looks like he's getting beat up when he can easily go into super speed mode and destroy these like tiny little metahumans who pose no threat.
But this film did that well. This film, I didn't feel like, when the bullet went through his leg, that made sense. That made sense to me. That the younger Barry didn't know that bullets would do that to him, you know. So he just kind of let the bullet go through him, and you know, from inexperience. So this one made a lot more sense. As I said, the concepts behind how he was using his feed were on a level even beyond Zack Snyder's Justice League. But Zack Snyder's Justice League just did the VFX way better. That's the only difference.
And it had the best DCEU Flash single moment, right? Overall, I think I like this depiction of Flash the best out of all the DCEU things. He was in Suicide Squad for a minute. He was horrible.
That was a cool
in the
cameo. I really like that cameo.
Yeah.
He's pretty good in Snyder Cut. But
he was great.
And he goes, "Save Martha" in Batman v Superman. But this is his best, and it's his solo film. It makes sense. This should be his best. I will say, as far as depicting the superpowers, the one other facet that they could have depicted super speed is something like Makari and Eternals, which is a movie I don't like. But Makari's superpowers, the way Chloe Zhao showed her just moving around and like throwing punches so quickly, it felt super dynamic and energetic. I like that depiction of showing it in real time, and showing action in real time of destroying fools. So
I think Snyder did that way better.
But overall, very good depiction of super speed.
No, I know, but I'd say Snyder even did that better than the Eternals. I know what you're talking about, like, but a lot of the time it just looked like it was more like her teleporting than running. There were like a few moments where you really saw her actual, you know, running and the speed, and you could kind of feel it. But a lot of the time it was just like, you know, she's here, then she's here, like teleporting, as opposed to like the camera actually following her. Snyder, on the other hand, actually did it pretty well. Especially, I remember there was this one scene where the Flash is like fighting the parademon, and he's like zipping and dodging all the parademon like fire, and then he just pushes the parademon. And I thought that was like really creative in the way it like showed his speed, but also his character as well. Like, you know, I don't know if you remember the scene, guys, but
probably not, but we know generally what you're talking about.
I take Andy's depiction over Eternals in terms of speedster stuff.
I think Nerdman hit the nail on the head that also it's not about just the powers, it's about the character with the powers. And I think the way he uses his powers is pretty special. He when he realizes, oh, that's not the Henry Cavill Superman that I know, or like the one that I know, and he doesn't know that she has superpowers. At this point, he thinks, oh, it's just some random girl. I mean, I think he should have probably realized that, oh, this is the equivalent of Kal-El in this universe, but I guess that didn't cross his mind. But regardless, he's like, okay, let's save her because we have to, right? Because she needs saving. And that's what superheroes are supposed to do. We all forgot that superheroes save people. It's always nowadays that they're stopping this huge threat. And we see very little of them actually saving people. I think that's done in the opening sequence. Flash is the Justice League's janitor. He's helping people. He even tells them to see a therapist or like a mental health professional because the Justice League isn't good at like emotional support. I found that funny, but also he's just a genuinely good guy. I think he gets that from his mother, who was so kind to someone who she thought was a complete stranger. It showed an actual superhero that is flawed, has a lot to learn, but someone we can actually look up to instead of a lot of things where they're just dull or anything along those lines. I don't know what the point I was trying to make was, but yes, superheroes saving people is good.
No, I like that. 100% agree, because even James Gunn critiqued the MCU of that there are not many superheroes who are doing it because it's genuinely the right thing. They're doing it because they have to save the world. There's some big threat that they got to face. Flash saving the babies was nice. James Gunn and Superman, that's gonna be fantastic. He's gonna really be a superhero. So yeah, I really like that aspect, Abby.
I think
agree.
there's an elephant in the room that we haven't really touched. We've been talking around it, and we haven't, acknowledged much, and that's Mr. OK brought it up in the chat, but the cameos,
Yeah,
which is
let's move on to that.
one of the
Cameos and
biggest
end
points of
credits.
controversy.
Yeah, the cameos
Trash.
for me did not do anything significant for me because I might have known some in the beginning, but I kept thinking back to how Titan season 4 did it better, in my opinion. Like the cameos in the film just didn't really do anything for me. I like the
You're
Wonder
the first
Woman.
person I've ever met that still watches Titans.
They were straight trash, bro.
No, like
Look at this
for some
shit.
reason I've decided to endure the pain and suffering since season 1, and I can say with confidence it's not a good show. It never gets
It
better.
really isn't.
Let me say this
But
about the cameos. Yeah, I'll go real quick. Christopher Reeve is my hero. I would not be the person that I am today without his Superman, without his movies. And I wanted to walk out of that theater going, man, that cameo was so cool. And I while I was watching it, I was just more kind of confused. Like the CGI didn't look good.
It's literally
he had such a blank expression, and I was like, oh, it's cool to see them canonically acknowledge that they're together, as cousins. But
not together like that.
you know what I meant. But yeah, it was just off, I guess. It was just weird.
It was bonkers when I was in the cinema just watching, even like the thing that was so cool with the Nicolas Cage thing.
Oh yeah,
I was just like,
That's a deep
what
cut
is
reference.
this? Like, what this PS2 graphic that I'm watching? And to me, that was what was so anticlimactic about it. And then right after the reverse flash, I was going to say the dark flash just gets killed really, really easily before there's any kind of battle or anything really. But there's two things I want to mention. One, they took out Brando, right?
Oh yeah, Andy is like.
I was so angry about that. Like they took out a Brando cameo, and they took out Linda Carter, and they took out, so it didn't really feel like a celebration of DC. It was a bunch of Superman stuff, and then throughout the film, really what it was celebrating was Batman. And I'm thinking, where's Grant Gustin up in this motherfucker? Where's where's
exactly where the Flash characters?
He is the reason that people know the Flash. When I say the Flash, right? Most normies or general audiences, to be polite, they'll think, oh, the Flash. Okay, yeah, he's a superhero who runs fast. Okay, have you seen anything with the Flash? Yes, I have. What's that thing? They're gonna say the show, the CW show. He's the reason that people know the Flash. And if you're gonna have cameos, which are completely unnecessary how they're used here, they had no need to show these lifeless PS2 models. They could have just shown the big spheres colliding to show that the multiverse was collapsing. It was completely useless. But if you are gonna have fan service cameos, have it be meaningful, tasteful, thoughtful fan service cameos with Grant Gustin, people who are alive. Like, I feel like I don't think Marlon Brando, even if they did include him as Jor-El, I don't know if he'd like that. Like, I don't know if Cesar Romero would be good with it.
I don't care what Marlon Brando would or wouldn't like, to be fair. I'm not in a bad way.
To be fair, Marlon Brando was kind of an a-hole, but...
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is there was nothing wrong with the people they chose in the cameo. I would have liked to see a few more. Yeah. And those ones in particular were really bad to take out.
Yeah,
but the problem for me as well was like, let's have a little bit more interaction with these cameos. I want to see he went into the world. Like he went in, like when he was going back in time. That was the coolest thing, when he went back in time and he went into this, different, or into the past, right?
He
or
interacted with Keaton and Barry too.
It would have been cooler to see the Flashes running through these universes, and you see them being destroyed by, him trying to interfere with the timeline. And so you're seeing the world's getting wiped out. Like they could have actually had them run through, and I'm sure you can do this. I'm
Yeah, that's not too difficult. Like the way they presented the cameos was odd too.
Like say they ran through Superman 2's final battle scene with Zod, right? So they actually run through it, and you do it in a way where it looks like you see Christopher Reeves catch them, but they're so quick that like they run past him or something and continues on the battle. That would have been cooler, like actually seeing it come to life and them running through it. I don't know how hard that is to do, but it would have just been much better than just doing this graphics kind of thing that they did.
I thought it was gonna be as you described, Barry running through all these universes, and the way they did it was, I love the Chrono Bowl, I love the concept, but the CGI is like horrendous. It's terrible.
Yeah, and I think Andy Muschietti is trying to play off it as a creative choice, even if we humor him there and entertain that idea. Okay, maybe it was a creative choice to make it seem sort of intangible. Okay, I get where you're going with that. That doesn't excuse the fact that it looks like garbage.
Well, for me,
go ahead, JG.
I would have much rather, because those cameos kind of did disservice because you're leaving out so many other people that were like very essential for these DC films. I would have much rather had a bunch of different iterations of Flash in those roles.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure like it was either Andy Muschietti or like someone else stated that like every like DC character was like on the table, so it just kind of like confuses me even more that we got so limited.
Who are we gonna choose? Okay, let's get a glimpse of Adam West Batman, but the main ones we're gonna have is Nick Cage Superman and Christopher Reeves Superman. Like what?
Exactly.
I mean, Nick Cage suit looks. I like that suit though.
In all fairness,
I like the Nick Cage one.
Yes, I do. I would have kept the Nick Cage one because I think that's just funny to have that deep cut of a reference. But Christopher Reeves just felt kind of. It's a man who took his own life. Like, in just showing
You're
him.
Talking about not Christopher
George Reeves. That's George Reeves.
Oh, my bad. That's my mistake. But Christopher Reeves, who has passed, did they sign him off on that? The estate.
Cesar Romero as well.
Okay, that's fine. But he just felt so pointless. It just felt like,
Cesar Romero is so like
like
random. It's like I don't know, but he loves that show so much. Andy, I get why he would want to like be a fan and do that.
No,
Nicolas Cage is
Cesar. I don't mind the ones he put in, but it was just too much Superman. First of all, like Superman. It's like okay. Cool.
Yeah, a lot of Superman.
That's why I say you should have had
like no Flash stuff.
Flashes.
There's no alternate Flashes besides the other Ezra Miller Barry Flash. You're not going to put Brain.
No, there's Jay Garrick. There's Jay Garrick, but it's not John Wesley Shipp, and it's not Teddy Sears. Apparently, it's like a weird mix of the two. I don't know what they were thinking.
You should have
Grant Gustin is sort of the most egregious omission, in my opinion, because
Andy cut him. He was supposed to be in the movie. He cut the
Wesley Shipp should have played the Dark Flash.
No, because it's very clearly supposed to be an alternate Barry, right?
Yeah, I know, but that could be an alternate Barry, right? Like he could have put the scar on him, and it would have been Wesley.
Shipp. when he aged up.
Yeah,
I think
that would have been something.
Yeah, it would have. Yeah, I will say this:
a role in the movie other than to just be there in the background of a CGI shot.
He wasn't He wasn't in there. Wesley Shipp. None of the Flashes.
Were
in there.
Besides,
and Andy Muschietti said, "Oh, he didn't want to take the attention of Ezra Miller." Yes,
okay,
it's a real Flash movie.
We do want to take the attention of Ezra Miller, motherfucker. That's exactly what we want to do. What are you talking about?
Ah, yes, because CGI Reeves makes things 10 times better.
Yeah, it didn't know.
I think there are 3 cameos we haven't addressed. We've talked about Ben Affleck.
Okay, hold on. I want to say something about Nicolas Cage. Okay, I want to say something. I want to say something now. I love the cameo.
Yes,
but Andy Muschietti brought this man in to shoot the scene. and he CGI'd him like this. I didn't want that. I wanted to see him actually in costume.
Yeah.
Like again with this
Why?
ugly
Why do you need a
CGI.
PS2
And maybe even a
cutscene
line.
Cage?
Can you imagine? Could
A
you
line,
imagine him
yes.
saying, "Step aside, son. This is a
Oh,
joke
man.
for Superman" or something like
Oh, my
Nicholas
God.
Cage?
That'd
That would have been so
great,
dope.
dude.
That would have been so dope.
And I love the
I mean,
concept too, because the spider thing was from Kevin Smith's draft.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was awesome. But again, the CGI is like, man, I'm
think-
grateful we at least got the cameo though. But
I
have
think
a
here's what I would have done with the cameo. It's just like Nicolas Cage just punches out a big spider, and it's not even like a mechanical style spider. It's just like a massive spider, and then Dark Flash comes in and he's got like he's just got the better of Barry, and Barry's just behind Nicolas Cage, and that's where Nicolas Cage says, "Step aside, son."
I would have loved that, man. I would have loved
and
that.
then Dark Flash phases through him
Here's
into
how I
the
would do that.
different
Okay,
universe.
my twist would be that after he says that, he immediately gets murdered.
He
I
immediately
wouldn't
gets
have
what?
done
No.
I wouldn't have done that. I mean, you want to swing
You
for the
might as
fences.
well.
I get that, but
You might as well.
No, so he goes, "Step aside, son. Superman's here, and not just any Superman. Nick Cage Superman."
That would have been great.
Bro,
You know,
I
right,
should've
and
seen
then
him.
Immediately, he just gets stabbed.
Bro, I
then
needed
you
to
know
see
what?
Superman
People-
with the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah,
people,
exactly.
people think this cameo is like, people think the whole concept of Nick Cage being Superman is a joke. So if he were to like be so heroic and then immediately die, you know what? I that would have been funny actually.
There are
But
two other cameos that we got to talk about.
yeah,
First of all,
yeah.
Gal Gadot, and that's probably my low-key second favorite cameo of the movie behind Ben Affleck. because
Really?
Ben
Yeah,
Affleck
she was great.
served the story purpose,
Yeah.
but Gal Gadot just made the universe feel like a universe, right?
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
brought us something that we never had before, and it's a little taste of what could have been. And I don't like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, not gonna lie, but it's what she represented there. And also the gag with her with the lasso of truth. Batman's like, "Oh,
That
That
was
was funny.
funny. That
Bro,
was
that was funny.
hilarious.
Really
The
starts
poverty
fighting
law.
Wait a
poverty.
minute.
I
Wait a
don't
minute.
open up for people. I don't. My ego won't allow me to say thank you." And then Ezra Miller's like, "I know what sex is, but I've never experienced it." Those
People
No,
are
the
hating on that
best-
scene.
the
I thought that
best
was funny.
line- Yeah, the
Tommy,
best
what
line
were
was
you gonna say? Kamu speaking for like the fourth time.
Yeah, go ahead,
Oh.
Kamuzu.
Okay, I just want to say, I predicted that sex joke without knowing it.
That's what you said. That's what you
Yeah.
said. I
That
never
was
saw
so
it. But
cool. I don't know why. That was just so cool to me.
Very relatable
Yeah.
to you, eh? Very relatable.
relatable. Yeah.
And I'll say this about the
Um,
Wonder Woman cameo, that I appreciate them. It's so funny because they wanted to be a universe at the very end, but I appreciate that they made an attempt. They were like, okay, let's
And
connect
then
this universe together.
there's the other one. I think it's the cameo that most people have been talking about the most. George Clooney.
My favorite cameo in the entire
What?
movie. Let me
Why?
say my favorite
Jonathan.
cameo in the entire movie because they set up the shot because it was originally supposed to be Keaton.
Yeah.
But he walks out looking like $1 million. This man did not have to return to this role after the hate and everything. We know it.
And
He
after
walked
the
out
fact that
like
he's George
nothing had
Clooney, one of the
changed.
biggest movie stars.
He walked out looking like $1 million. Like he didn't care what anybody thought. I was like, my favorite cameo in the movie. I loved it. Oh my gosh. What did
Okay,
you guys think
all
about
right.
it?
I don't know what you're
I was
talking about.
I-
bro.
I
nauseated when
respect
he
It
your
walked
was
out of that car.
hilarious.
Let me
But
speak.
who let
though.
him
me
cook?
speak, y'all. John, I
What?
respect your opinion. I respect your opinion. But
Who
that
let
was
him
the
cook?
worst cameo, bro. Okay,
Nah.
I'm
that
joking.
was-
I'm
oh.
joking. I
No,
didn't
no,
hate it that much, but it just felt so tacked on, and it's gonna confuse so many people. Like, what? Is George
Yeah, I
Clooney
agree.
our new
Yeah, I
Batman?
agree.
And of course he's not. Now, a friend of mine, and we had a very thorough discussion on this. He made the case that there's actually a possibility that George Clooney could be the Batman in The Brave and the Bold, and
It's not happening. It's not
he
happening.
acknowledges that. Yeah, it's
I'm
not happening.
out, bro.
You know
I
who
am
you are.
out.
Thanks, friend. You're dope. But basically, there is a case to be made. It's like, what if it's a veteran Batman and George Clooney's the new Batman?
No.
That's not happening, and I'll tell you
I
what.
am
Now
out.
people are
Look,
gonna be
dude, you
thinking
don't
that.
know how out I
So
am.
many
That is
people
the
have been
only
asking,
DC movie I would never go and
is
watch.
George Clooney Batman now? Is George Clooney Batman now? And I agree. It was funny.
Listen.
But now so many people are going to be so confused.
Listen,
George Clooney is the worst casting of all time in a superhero movie. I don't
no,
care about
that's
Whoa, wait a
not
minute.
true.
He is.
Stop
He
it.
is.
That's true.
He
Stop
even
it.
admitted
that's
to
true.
that.
That's going
Mistake.
too far,
Straight
bro.
up
Could
the
have been a
worst.
good
He even
Batman.
admitted
He's
to
worse.
that.
Could
He
have
might
been a
have
He's
good
been
worse.
Batman.
I'll argue it right now. He is the worst
Here,
casting.
let me.
As a
Cat,
gadget,
Cat.
it's funny.
Lois Lane.
Wait, Nerdman. Have you
No,
seen
look,
Steel?
Batman and Robin is a
Steel?
terrible movie.
He's worse. He's worse
horrible
than
as
Steel.
Batman.
Oh my God.
Let's be honest here. He's
That's
not
ridiculous.
he's not a good Batman, but that's because the role and the writing and the direction and
He
that's
No,
could
what
that's
never have been a
horrible.
good
allowed
He
him to
Batman.
should.
be.
He even
George
said it was a
Clooney is one of
mistake
the
that
biggest movie
he
stars
shouldn't
of
have
all
played that
time.
role.
You ask
He's
every
even admitted
boomer
to
and
it.
their
What are you
favorite
talking
movie
about?
star is going to be George Clooney. Okay, every boomer's favorite movie star is George Clooney. Right? He has that millionaire suaveness, that charisma. He could be a
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne.
not the
He is a
charisma of
serious,
fucking
talented actor
Batman.
that
He's
can be
not.
Batman.
He's not dark. He's not got anything dark. Nothing screams out to me. This is a guy who's gonna be like staying in his fucking mansion, just dreaming of beating up fucking scum on the street.
What the heck are you
Nothing-
talking about? That's
I don't
the
get
exact
any of
impression of
that
who
from-
George Clooney is.
Okay, let me just say that
And
George
what?
Clooney is not going to be the DCU Batman. You want to know why? James
Good
Gunn liked a post about it, and it was clear
Yeah.
to me when I walked out of the movie. I knew what was going on. This new DCEU is now Elseworlds, and James Gunn's new DCU is going to be in its own universe, its own thing. I got that when I left the theater. I don't know why people are, besides like normies, are like super confused. I don't know why people in our community are so confused about that. It is what it is. George Clooney is not going to be Batman. Let's come on.
Look, but can we go back to the cameo though? Because I just want to,
Yeah.
like, it was the most anticlimactic thing. After all of the if everything in that third act was awesome, because I was already on a like, wow, this film was so awesome, and then it totally dropped the ball. The last thing I needed to see after that was this motherfucker, dude. Like, he's the worst fucking Batman. I hate him so much.
Yo, this is streaming to my channel
his
too, man. I
Batman
want to
movie
keep my
is so
channel
bad.
PG.
You know how much of a DC head I am, Superwise. You know,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm hardcore.
I know.
I'm a zealot for the cause for DC. That is the
That's why I
only
thought you would
DC
like
movie.
it. I thought you would like this cameo.
That is the only DC movie
got
I've never seen
right?
more than
Dude,
once. I've watched
when
Wonder
he
Woman
calls
84,
Barry.
Suicide Squad, all of them multiple times. This is the only one I cannot watch. Ever since I saw it when I went to the cinema, I've never watched it again. And that was at an age where I liked all movies. You know what I mean? Batman and Robin came out at an age where like I just liked everything.
To play devil's advocate here, I love Batman and Robin. I love
All right,
it.
get out of
Okay,
here.
we're
You know
moving
what?
on.
Right,
JJ,
mute
go
button.
ahead and speak.
Mute
Come
button.
out of here.
Mute button, please.
Yeah.
Some
There's a
demonic
norm.
shit
JJ,
you're
what were you gonna
talking
say?
there.
Funny. Hey,
Okay.
I got a joke for you. What
Please
give
don't.
the dinosaurs?
Oh my god! Everything.
Arnold
about the movie is
Schwarzenegger
trash.
wasn't bad in the movie, to be fair.
What word did you just
found
say? Anyway, just kidding.
He was
Clooney
the
worse.
buffest Mr. Freeze I've ever seen in my life. But when he's on the phone with Barry, I'm like, that doesn't sound like Michael Keaton. Who was? And he walks
sounds
out
like Ben
that
Affleck
freaking
either.
car. He walks out that freaking car, and I'm like, dude, everything like Nerman said, everything that third act, all the dramatic stuff and everything in this, he walks out the car like, hey, this movie's a joke. This movie is now officially a
It is a
joke.
pretty stupid movie. It doesn't help that immediately after that, it cuts to a shot of Ezra with his tooth falling out.
falling out, yeah.
Yeah,
Even though he heals.
Yeah,
at
that was a
super
double
speed.
whammy right there.
Now, Evie, I will agree with you. He makes a great Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Don't
But
say
the thing is,
don't
those-
say
No,
these
Norman,
That's
words.
the
listen,
call
Norman,
of
listen,
Islam.
Say
listen,
these
listen.
words.
Listen,
He was
Nerman,
not great
listen.
anything.
Look,
Listen,
the
listen,
way
like
listen.
$1 million
you end a
bucks.
film, the way you end a film retroactively reframes the entire movie. If you want, I'm not going to spoil it, but if you watch The Sixth Sense after knowing the ending, that completely reframes it. What this scene, what those final couple of shots, those final 30 seconds prove is that this movie is a joke. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
A freaking.
You know
joke.
what George Clooney would be? He'd be a great Iron Man, right? As I've said that, everyone's thinking, yes, ding. He would be a great Iron Man. He's not Batman. It doesn't work for him, dude. I know
no,
he's
what I'm
slick
saying
and
billionaire,
he's got
playboy,
like certain
philanthropist who
Like,
seems normal to me.
George
Wait,
Clooney looks
who's
like a playboy philanthropist. He just looks like it.
yeah, but a
Bruce Wayne,
happy
no.
one.
No,
like
okay.
not a,
Well,
not
he's
a
supposed to
miserable one.
differentiate between Batman and Bruce Wayne. Just like in Christopher Nolan's Batman.
Yeah,
Right?
I
When
know,
the
but
Alphas tell him, hey, you still have to be Bruce Wayne. So what does he do? Just like George Clooney does.
yeah, but there has to be a sorry, and I'm not gonna. There has to be a layer where you still see the darkness inside, dude. That's what Bale and Keaton and Patterson and even Ben Affleck, who isn't my favorite, they do so well. They maintain even when they're doing the playboy kind of thing. There's just still this inner darkness that you can see behind the surface, and.
What do you mean?
That's
Having a back credit
and you know what? Even fucking sorry,
Nerdman language.
sorry.
Bro, dude,
He's too
dude,
deep
dude.
into it now. You
Okay,
can't stop him.
just so you know,
Even
I'm
Val
by the way
Kilmer
trying-
had that.
but
Even
this-
Val
this
Kilmer
is
had
going
that.
up on my channel.
Underrated
So I try
Batman.
to keep PG. So you've ruined
Okay.
my channel. I hate
Sorry,
you. You're a horrible human being.
No, it's okay. You're good,
Sorry.
nerd man.
sorry. But even Val Kilmer had that.
Val
The-
Kilmer's
the-
underrated.
Val Kilmer was underrated to me. Very
Underrated. I love his Batman.
What the heck are you guys
Yeah.
talking about?
I do
He's
not like that
underrated.
guy.
I don't want to hear slander.
If you value
alright?
George Clooney over Val Kilmer, mute.
I
him
don't value
now.
either of them.
Okay,
They're low
that's-
tier
that's-
human beings.
that's
to
a
me.
legit opinion, but both were in the Schumacher movies, which are the
No, no.
Schumacher movies.
Val Kilmer was
Yeah,
not.
I don't mind Val Kilmer. I just don't care
want
for the
a
Schumacher.
positive question, right? John, I think hit the nail on the head with saying this is now an Elseworlds, not the mainline DCEU. Do you think that even after like Superman Legacy and such, this could be an Elseworlds continuity that they continue?
I hope not.
I don't know.
No,
I don't
no
think
thanks.
so. I think
No,
if
audit-
anything,
yeah, it's like
I think
if
it's time to
anything,
end it.
a future crossover, if they open up the multiverse again. But nah, this is them saying, Ezra's in the Clooneyverse. Goodbye.
yeah, it's just like if you look at like the current box office right now, it just shows you that audiences just aren't vibing with this current DCEU. It's like you have to move on, or else people are just gonna check out.
Yeah, it's over.
And
What
then
James Gunn is doing is
It's
fine.
finished, man.
let's
Yeah, it's
talk
done.
about the post-credit scene.
Dude, oh
yeah,
my
what did you
god.
guys think about that?
That was
the
funny
worst.
to me. I don't care what anybody says. I was just laughing.
I liked
That
it.
was the worst part of the movie to me.
That was the
I
worst.
was
I
I was
hated that
I wasn't
so much.
over the moon about it, but seeing Jason Momoa there was cool, and him in the puddle, and he's like slapping it. He's like, "This is my home," and you know,
I was so
No,
I
it
gotta
was-
chuckle.
Oh, it was
weird.
bad, but it was just funny.
No, but
bad,
here's-
bad, good.
After
I'm not
George
gonna
Clooney,
lie.
you might as well go
I'm not
full
gonna
retard.
lie.
I don't care after that.
I got
I'm
a
not
chuckle
gonna
out
lie,
of it.
okay? So now that I really think about it, Andy Muschietti did a terrible job. You know who should have been the director?
Who?
you about to say something.
JG Ryan Coogler.
We're not doing that. We're not doing
Bro,
that.
Jay-
Get back on track.
See what I'm saying, okay? If it was me, you know what I'm saying, I would have Michael B. Jordan, you know what I'm saying, playing the Flash, you know what I'm saying? And,
There would have
you
been
know what I'm
more
saying,
controversy
It would
on
have been
top if he
better,
directed it.
Michael. It would have been better, Michael B. Jordan.
Hey, man,
walking out of
hey.
that car as
I
Bruce
keep it straight
Wayne.
Cali
I'm
over
telling
here, you know what I'm saying? I keep straight Cali, okay? Stay in the UK,
No,
okay?
legit, I
keep straight Cali over here,
Michael B.
okay?
Jordan would be more controversial as the Flash because he's black than Ezra Miller, who's a maniac.
No, I'm saying Michael B.
Yeah.
Jordan walking out the car instead of George Clooney would have been tighter. Honestly,
And
You
Bruce
might have a
Wayne.
point.
dude,
You might have a point.
straight.
That's
He probably would have
crazy.
made a cameo as Superman because of that whole like Michael B. Jordan like black
You
Superman.
know
product.
what?
Oh,
I
no.
would
No,
love
no,
him
no,
as
no,
Valzad.
That would have been hilarious.
I
That
would
would have
love
been
him as
hilarious.
Valzad.
Ryan
I
Reynolds
still want to
should've been
see
in
it.
Me too.
I want to see him direct it. He did such a
yeah.
good job with Creed
The
3. I would love to
Valzad
see a
movie?
Valzad Elseworlds. But yeah, that George Clooney cameo, I will always love. I don't care what anyone says. That was peak cinema, as they say. And the end credits, it got a
Soul
chuckle.
Down. Oh my god.
You got
That
a
was a
chuckle.
waste
You
of
like that?
time.
Hey, but it was such a waste of time. Did you? So this Aquaman cameo, I didn't even get what it was alluding to. Really,
Dude, it was so
didn't really
pointless. That's the
make sense.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I
completely
think-
pointless.
Always
And
the
I
effing
was
Barry
I was
thing,
so
and-
embarrassed because I was going against the Snyder fans. on Twitter, just like about like one like spoiling the film, which they shouldn't have been doing, but also
Terrible.
like like so what? Like it's just a different version of Aquaman. And then I saw it and I was like, yeah, they're kind of right, bro. Like, what was he
What did I just
doing with
watch?
Aquaman?
I just watched.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what.
How many minutes of
Aquaman and the
was that?
Lost Kingdom. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is probably gonna take place in this universe, in this Clooneyverse, which I find hilarious.
Bro, I'm calling that movie is making 5 moaners in the box office, bro. I will not.
It's
be
not
watching.
making a Billy. It's not making a Billy.
Hold
No
up,
way.
hold up.
What?
Wasn't Batfleck supposed to be an Aquaman too?
That's all I was about
Yeah,
to say.
and
Yeah,
then
he was supposed to
Keaton,
be.
and then they cut him. So if anything, just bring back Clooney again.
Actually, don't do that, please. Thank you.
I would love it.
No, that'd be
I would
hilarious.
love it.
Okay, yo,
That would be
Aquaman
hilarious,
is a
actually.
joke. Guys, Aquaman is not a serious movie, guys. The first Aquaman movie is a satire. The first Aquaman movie is like Spaceballs or Austin Powers.
That comparison. That is a comparison.
That's hilarious.
It's not serious. Okay, look, with a director as talented as James Wan, do you seriously think that kid, that Aquaman teenager guy, you're saying they executed her? You seriously think
That's so funny.
that would be in a serious movie? No, I don't believe you. You think that Crab or the Laser Sharks would be in a serious movie? No. Okay, that movie is a spoof.
It was so bonkers. It really, like, I didn't like it at first, especially like the third act. I was just, this is the best.
Okay.
But watching again, I was kind of like somewhat charmed by how stupid.
I really enjoy it. It's fun. It's a fun
it's
2 hour and
Like,
10-minute
it's
movie.
just a movie that
It's-
knows what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Jackson Lansing for a moment. Yes, it does sound like he's a couple therapist right now. A little bit of a tangent. I see Jackson Lane commenting on like every single video I watch. Like, I'll be watching some random video unrelated to this whole community, and then I'll see the top comment, Jackson Lane 02 commenting, right? I don't know why. He follows me. He watches the exact same videos I do and comments on them. Like, I was watching some WWE clip, and then he was commenting on it. I was watching something for some random Marvel thing. He was there. Jackson, what's up with you, bro? Why are you following me? Stop
It's not
following me.
personal.
Who
Doesn't
here
help that
thought
Ken's not
Shazam
moving.
Fury of the Gods was good?
Must be coincidence.
I
thought it was
No,
good.
no.
I enjoyed
No,
it.
bro, you on the
I enjoyed
FBI
it.
watch list now.
So,
I thought, yeah.
who
I
was it?
enjoyed it.
Because I didn't. Who else?
I
Yeah,
thought it was
me, JG. Who else enjoyed it?
I thought it was pretty good.
Enjoyed what, Aquaman?
No,
No,
Shazam.
Shazam Fury of the Gods.
Okay, I did. My first time watching it was with you guys. We held a watch party. It was with John, Kamu, a few others.
I wasn't
I
there.
was playing chess for the first half of the movie, so like, chess is a pretty resource-heavy game as far as your brain power is
intellectually
concerned, so I didn't
resource,
really. I didn't know what the plot was, but I think it was just like a wonkier, less charming version of the first one. But I still like it.
I completely disagree. Like
my
watching it
biggest
again,
criticism.
yeah, Dom.
Yeah, no, my biggest criticism of the movie is that there wasn't enough Billy in it.
Yeah.
But besides that, I thought it was good. I thought it was solid, and people bandwagon, hated on it. That was terrible to see because he didn't deserve that.
I can
Sandberg.
No, it
somewhat
didn't
agree when
deserve
people
that
saying
at
it's
all.
generic, though. It is kind
Yeah,
of generic.
to me, it's
story.
inoffensively mediocre.
Yeah,
and that's
I
fair.
don't-
It is
And that's
kind of
fair.
generic.
But
There's stuff in
how?
there I like.
But what's this is what I don't get. So because it's a superhero movie, like i.e., it follows the beats of a superhero movie. That's that's the problem, or I
No, but the
really
other
don't
thing is that
understand
it's
what people
wonky
mean by
structure.
generic.
The third act is an hour long for a 2-hour movie. Like
What?
It is actually.
The
Yeah.
third act isn't
way.
an hour long.
It's
What are you
not a
talking
whole
about?
hour. It's got to be
I'm about to say that couldn't have been
20
an hour.
minutes.
20, 30, maybe.
20 to 30 minutes max, and I think
Yeah.
it's 20.
No, but also like, I think it's so like like cowardly to pretend to kill off Billy and have an emotional scene and then bring him back 2 minutes later.
Yeah, we
Either
all
don't
knew
kill
wasn't
him,
dead. He wasn't
don't
dead.
kill him,
All right.
or actually kill him.
All right, so here's the thing about this movie. First, it's a kids' movie. That's the first thing. In the end of Beauty and the Beast, it would have been a much cooler, more dramatic, much more whatever thing.
Except Beauty and the Beast is good.
If Beast had have died, sure, but it's a kids' movie, right? Like it's aimed towards kids. You're not expecting
but the thing is,
Beast
just
to
don't.
die at the end.
That's okay.
And then,
because
and then,
that's
and then,
just the
and then
point
all
of
right,
that-
let's take that aside. That's like one bit of the movie, and people harp on about it like it was like the worst thing ever, and it didn't make sense, and it was this Deus Ex Machina, and it wasn't. It just purely wasn't.
Got
Wonder Woman was a
hyperbolic
god.
with their hate.
Yeah,
Hyperbolic.
it's too hyperbolic. I think it's complete crap. If it was a Marvel movie, I'm sorry, like it wouldn't have got this hate. Thor: Love and Thunder, or even Thor: Love and Thunder, I'd give a pass, but like that's pretty generic. Or what's this vampire movie?
Wait.
The
Morbius.
That's a generic
That was
superhero.
generic.
Hey.
What are you talking about, bro?
Shazam! Fury of the Gods is not generic, bro. It's just
Okay,
my
a
thing
solid
is,
superhero
it's
movie.
generic
That's
compared
not
to the
a
first one.
criticism.
It was generic as compared to the first one, which was much more like a coming of age teenage comedy, right?
And this was Monster Squad, basically.
but too much
essentially
monster and not enough squad.
What?
Too much monster and not enough squad.
I don't know what I'm trying to say with.
I don't know what's going on.
What is going on? Have you seen Monster
Nerdman.
Squad?
Nerdman, you know, we're DC fans for life. I enjoyed Shazam too. I rewatch it every now and then. I'm like, oh, this is a good
Every
movie.
now and then, it's been out for 3 months.
Yeah, and I've watched
How many
it
times
did
have you
it come
watched
out?
this movie?
When did it come out on digital? I forget.
Last
It
month.
came out pretty quick.
I had a point to
I've
all
seen it
this.
3
I
times now,
wasn't here to defend Shazam! Fury of the Gods, although I'm going to do one more defense. Score great, acting great. The CG was fine. I thought it was all done pretty well, especially after watching The Flash. I kind of think,
Yeah. Oh my god. Dude.
Yeah, you don't know what you
crazy
have
how-
until you see something so abysmal.
it's not across the Spider-Verse, I'll admit that, and I think Guardians was a little bit better just because of the thing with the rat, that whole story with the rat.
What? Bro, this slander. He's now a top 5 MCU character, and you call my man a rat?
It was cool. I said it was good, that bit, wasn't it?
That got me.
He's
But
embraced
my
he's a
whole
raccoon
thing
now, bro.
was that if Flash and Shazam are being treated like this, one, this is a dead universe, because if you can be a solid film and the criticism is, oh, you're just a solid film, like that's basically what the criticism of Shazam was. And then this, they're just, and the Flash, they're just tearing apart because, it started with the CGI, and then they had a little bit of an in, and then they just were like, okay, we're going to tear the whole thing apart. And
But
it's
the
just
thing
like,
is,
it's
the
going too
CGI
far.
and the cameos were
Hyperbolic.
auxiliary. The main
It's
film is
super
pretty
hyperbolic.
Yeah, and I'll tell
Yeah,
you,
the main film's
every
pretty
time I go
strong.
online and I see the criticisms, quote unquote criticisms of the Flash, it's just the CGI. They don't critique the story. They don't critique because they can't, because it's good.
Yeah.
So hyperbolic
Batman
hate with
scenes
Shazam.
alone, bro, had me in an erotic state.
Yeah.
Those Ben Affleck Batman scene in the beginning was so sick, dude. And
It was
then
dope,
the Keaton
man.
stuff.
Okay.
Oh my
Him and
I
god.
want
Russia,
to say
man.
criticism of the Flash real quick.
Sure.
All right, so I don't like this is just me. I don't know. This has been happening a lot recently, but I did not laugh a single time during the Flash. The humor was so sucky.
I mean, a couple of jokes are pretty good though. Like the one where the secondary's like putting on the helmet for the first time. It's just like doesn't fit at all. Got me like kind of.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. That got me.
And then I mentioned earlier my two favorite jokes. I'll add the lasso of truth joke. That was good too.
That was funny.
I mean, the lasso of truth joke, like it landed for me because of like personal stuff in the video I made.
Personal stuff. What do you mean?
The video I made, dude.
Oh,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Let's not.
What video?
Oh my
I made
gosh,
it.
are you talking about the one that I was in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know what you were talking about until now. But yeah,
Yeah.
you did predict it. Yeah.
Kamu, guys, Kamu, you guys should check out his YouTube channel. I'll put it in the description of my video, and then he's definitely in the description of John's.
Yeah, he's already in it.
He has a whole DC universe made out of Lego stop motions that have some appearances from John and I. We're characters in it. So check it out. He's building the best universe.
It's rated PG-13 for brief scenes of nudity.
Yeah.
I'll say this about the Flash: the majority of the jokes actually worked for me, which I was so happy with.
I thought it was really funny. That there was, I mean, the Lasso truth, especially when he said, "I should be cleaning up poverty if I really."
That was so funny.
That was hilarious. But there was also just like these. There were jokes there that weren't just like, oh, you know, this is a joke that is obvious, like that would be made, like the oh, you know, what's your superpower? I'm rich, or you know,
There's actual practical
Aquaman. I hear you talk to fish. You know, there was actual jokes there that I just wasn't expecting. Like just a little simple thing, like Ezra Miller putting his leg up on Michael Keaton because Michael.
Oh
Keaton
my
always,
gosh, we didn't talk about that one. That was so funny. That was so funny. I'm so glad you brought that up. Because his reaction is like, "What the hell are you doing?"
They were actually practical humor, practical comedy, rather than just MCU banter. Or,
physical, funny comedy.
Your name's Batman. You're from a planet called Krypton. It was more intelligent than that.
Actually, the worst joke was an MCU.
The actual quality of a joke, the actual thoughtfulness and the cleverness of a joke isn't subjective. It actually had clever material.
Yeah.
What was the MCU joke?
I know the Back to the Future.
He calls himself Superman. I didn't really get that at all. You know, when Keaton goes, doesn't he find that a bit on the nose? Like, he calls himself Super. I didn't even get it. It's like, yeah, because he could.
Okay. Actually, there was one MCU style joke that worked, and that was Barry 2 thinking they were actually going to a cousin's dinner.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
There were a couple of stuff like that, but a lot of actual stuff that was really just, you know, like there was another one I just thought of and I've forgotten it. But
I know the whole Back to the Future bit was kind of funny to me.
I like that. I like that alternate history. That's a deep cut.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The Eric Stoltz thing of, you know, that's one of the famous stories of. He was originally Marty McFly, but they wanted Michael J. Fox the whole time, and they saw Eric Stoltz just wasn't working, so they subbed in Michael J. Fox.
Oh yeah.
What an embodied performance! I love that. What an embodied.
No, but
that was funny.
I want to like look at this from just like we see movies from, you know, a sort of top down perspective. We look at the final product and we said, oh, this was good, this was good, this was bad. But I think we also need to look at it from a bottom-up perspective, which means they made these choices from scratch. They had a blank slate, Flash movie, okay? Where do you go with that? And it's so interesting to me, and, you know, we've always talked about this. Why would they do a Flashpoint movie? Now, it turned out really well, but just philosophically speaking, out of all the movies they could have made, they made a Flashpoint film instead of a dedicated Flash film, which is honestly as much fun as the multiverse stuff was, as much as I like seeing Keaton, as much as I like seeing Sasha Calle as Supergirl, as much as I like the plot device of going back to Man of Steel, sort of revisiting the past, and also it creates sort of a ticking time bomb. As much as that stuff was cool, my favorite stuff is the stuff that could have been accomplished in a straightforward Barry Allen story of him policing Central City and learning to become a hero. Right, that was the most interesting element of it, and I don't think we have a proper Flash movie. It just doesn't exist yet. Now,
but it was clever though.
It's a great comic. Okay, and I'm gonna call it the Flashpoint Crisis from now on because that's what it is. It's a crisis, right? They can't just change the name and expect me to not think it's a crisis. It's a crisis anyway. But
It was
basically,
clever to look at the origin through the younger Barry, though. I thought that was
Yeah.
really smart,
Mhm.
and it
yeah,
allowed
I
for
mentioned that earlier.
these really emotional beats, but it also allowed for like a lot of humor. And just the simple thing of like when he first learns about his powers and he does the Speedy Gonzalez thing and
I
the
love
face.
that. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
I
nice.
don't understand why people are saying this younger Barry was annoying, other than they
Yeah,
don't
like,
know
it was the
Ezra
point.
Miller. Yeah,
He was
I
annoying
like
on
one,
that.
it was the point, and
Yes,
he
he
wasn't
was
even
annoying,
that
but he was
annoying.
annoying in a very enjoyable way. Whereas in Justice League,
Yeah,
or like
exactly.
Justice League, the Whedon cut, very, and even to an extent in the Snyder cut, he was obnoxious and he was annoying in an unenjoyable way, right? It's talking about brunch, right? But here it was charming, especially when he gets to play off of older Barry, who is sort of, more of a veteran. He knows the ropes and he's trying
I
to
love
teach a
that
younger
about it.
version of himself. And there's
I've
both
got to
a humor
disagree
in
with
that and
you
a
on the
poetry.
Snyder cut, though, man. But like, I mean, I can see it. There's little bits, but in the Snyder cut in general, I think he was much more improved, because even just that scene of
agree.
him in the prison with his dad was way better, and it showed that he's using this awkward persona to hide the deep trauma
Yeah.
behind what's happened to him, and you could see that even in the Justice League. It's just this film expanded it. I think you didn't get to see enough of that in the Snyder cut. So I can see why people would see it as annoying, but I saw what they were going for, even Snyder's version.
Yeah, he was
I
annoying,
think
but not in a
that-
bad way.
Yeah, go ahead.
And when you look at it, the older Barry, mom dies, father's in prison. He had to grow up a lot faster. He had to mature a little faster, as
And
opposed to
it shows
younger
this
Barry.
contrast of younger Barry, who has everything good.
Oh yeah, I love that part where he's like, "Geez, okay, mom," and then like Barry gets like all angry. That was nice.
Yeah.
It's funny. They
when
even
he
play a
blew
joke
up
off
like
of
that.
it where old Barry's like,
I mean,
"Damn,
it
am I really
shows
this?"
like the role that our upbringing, say that, in psychology, there's all this, nature versus nurture debate. They have a lot in common because they have a similar nature, right? That's just genetics, but also their upbringing were so radically different. Barry lost both his parents at a young age, not to murder, but one due to the failures of the criminal justice system, and one to murder, which actually we still don't know how his mom died. Like, did he didn't kill
Reverse
his
Flash
mom,
did
right?
it. Reverse Flash is confirmed. Danny confirmed it. He did
Oh
it.
yeah,
Oh.
Machete
JG, what
confirmed
were
that,
you
right?
what were
It
you
was
gonna
Reverse
say
Flash.
about the
Hold up.
scene?
So there's a Reverse Flash in this universe, and we're just gonna ignore that?
Yep,
Yeah, it's just not going to be addressed.
it's over,
Yeah.
man. It's
Yeah,
over.
it's over.
It's
Or
done,
I
man.
like to think it was just some random thug who's breaking into the house. to
Guys,
steal stuff.
just in case, just take a buddy or something. I'm taking a friend to tomorrow to go and see it. Just take.
How many times have you
go,
seen
I'm
it?
gonna go a couple more times. I've seen it 3 times now.
Wow.
My girlfriend loved it. She thought it was better than Across
Oh,
the
nice.
Spider-Verse. But to be fair to Across the Spider-Verse, she hadn't seen the first one. But to be fair to this movie, she's never seen like a lot of the DCEU movies that it's dealing with, like Man of Steel or anything like
Well,
that.
but I
So,
think honestly, this film does a pretty good job of like filling you in how it works. There's this natural like gateway for exposition with older Barry talking to a younger Barry who's not in the know. This is Superman. This is who Superman is. This is Batman. This is who Batman is. Now, I think unless you're living under a rock, you know who Superman and Batman are. But if you don't know the ins and outs of this specific DCE universe, if you don't know the origins of the Flash, if you don't know what went down in Man of Steel, then yeah, I honestly think this could be a good entry point, although obviously it's very much enhanced by a prior knowledge of the DCEU and DC in general.
JG, I wanted to know what you were going to say about that. That you were going to say something about the younger and older Flash, but you didn't quite finish.
Yeah, I interrupted.
Kind of forgot now.
Oh, sorry.
I think yeah, well, you be kind of touched on it where, the older Flash, mother died, or he gets murdered, father's in prison. He has to mature a lot faster. He's still kind of obnoxious, but he's more of a mature obnoxious where he's not so annoying, but he kind of is, like we saw in Justice League But you can deal with it, as opposed to the younger Barry, whose mother's still alive, does his laundry, probably cooks, decorated his apartment, father kind of babies him as well. He's going to be very annoying. And if that's how he was written, Ezra did an outstanding job with that because I was freaking annoyed. Like near the Batcave and older Barry goes off on him, I wouldn't tell him to shut up too. Like, dude, stop talking because you're getting on my nerves as well. So that was really good.
And this is what I was saying to Onzo. I was saying, imagine going back and meeting your younger self. There's a lot you'd like about yourself, but I can imagine going back and meeting my younger self and him going off at me, going like, "Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, old man." Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, mouthing off. And you're like, dude, I know what I'm talking about, bro. I know the mistakes you're making. Just listen to me. Trust me. Like, so I think the thing for me with it is that's the paradox of meeting your younger self. You think they will listen to you because surely they will understand you're wiser by being older, but actually you when you think back to how you were when you were young, you kind of can be arrogant and think you know it all. And it was depicted beautifully by Ezra. And I thought that was the moment. That scene you're talking about was the moment where I was like, he's the best performance in this film. Like easily, there's not even a contest. The way he did that thing, and then the thing about the monkey, where he was like, and I love both the sides of the character on that, where it was like the monkey, he goes, "Oh, you shot darts at the monkey," and he's like, "What are you talking about? You're angry with me for playing with a toy?"
Yeah, he doesn't know the
that was such
value
a great. Yeah, exactly.
It's great to see, Barry 1, see Barry 2, learn and grow from him. And also Barry 2 obviously takes his family for granted, and Barry 1 hates that. He despises that. He's like, you don't know what you have. That hit, and that scene where he blows up, I was like, wow, like just Ezra crushed it.
Yeah, and also, he shows, they show very effectively that there are two Barry Allens that have fundamentally different upbringings. They were fundamentally different people, even though they were both Barry Allen. They had similar mannerisms and also different in a way. It was such a nuanced performance. And then also the writing helps it. He's talking to his dad about Iris on the prison phone call.
The dad was great.
He's like, "Hey, I ran into that girl from Econ, right?" It was like, "Hey, why didn't you ever like ask her out or anything, right?" And then it shows younger Barry is getting a date. He's a fundamentally happier person, a more successful person, which drives home how much older Barry wanted this life.
Traumatized by that, what happened to him as well.
You even see younger Barry tell the older Barry, like, "Hey, dude, you need to ease up sometimes, man." It's
they both learn from each other. I love that. They both learn from each other.
That is true.
And this was a good one, because the only reference they had to the Justice League is when the Barry Allen in the Justice League first goes into the Batcave, and he's zipping around the Batcave like really joyous and happy, like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." And then that's exactly what younger Barry does in this movie. And he goes up to him and he's like, "Hey, but you've got to admit, it's kind of cool." And then you see that moment where like the older Barry kind of realizes, I remember first going into the Batcave, and he's like, "Yeah, it is actually awesome." I loved that stuff. It was actually really well done.
To be honest,
having said this, one thing I have to mention though, and I have to talk about, even though they did it pretty well most of the way through the film with the two Barrys, some of the time the face looked really wonky on the one.
I agree. I could tell. I could tell.
So upset by that.
I don't know. I never noticed it.
I did.
Like,
I noticed
it like in like close-up shots, but like in far-away shots, you can notice. Like, there's that shot in the trailer where they jump out the bat plane or whatever it's called. They do not like the same person.
You could see certain angles that it's not. I noticed a couple times.
Or
that kind of effect is just so hard to pull off. Like to have two actors with the same face in a scene, and there's a way to do that where you just splice it together and it's actually two performances, but it can be so difficult to do, especially since they interact so much. they touch each other, they interact physically.
Well,
So
touch
it's
each other.
really hard to pull off, and I think it's really great that they did it as well as they actually managed to.
No,
And
I've
also-
seen it done in other movies seamlessly. Not one scene looks bad, and I know they haven't got a like massive special effects budget for everything else, but like even things like Nicolas Cage did it in the adaptation, and you never notice
adaptation
like,
and also the unbearable weight of massive talent. So he had a scene
Yeah.
with himself too.
it's done seamlessly, and those are cheaper movies. Those are like what $10 million movies at best. You know,
Yeah.
I don't understand how. I just think the CG. I don't know. It let this movie
My
down
biggest
a
issue.
lot.
I
was
want to
just-
talk
it was
about
just my biggest
Nerdman
issue.
brought up the fact that they paid homage to that moment in Justice League. Let's talk. There's been speculation that this film makes the Snyder Cut canon because it references supposedly the encounter between Barry and Iris in the Snyder Cut, when it's not specifically. It just says 2.5 years ago. Which
Chrono Bowl. Listen, in the Chrono
No, but
Bowl,
it does.
Aquaman show. Listen, in the Chrono Bowl, we see all of this Barry's memories, and one of the shots is Aquaman pointing like he did only in the Snyder Cut. So, and the Flying Fox from
Oh, yeah,
Zack
it
Snyder's
did get
Justice
this,
League is in it.
like-
The Snyder Cut is canon. Snyder
Snyder
hater,
Cut
Snyder
is
lover.
canon.
I don't care. It's Snyder Cut is canon.
It's canon
I
in this
love that.
movie, and also it talks about Barry going back 1 second in time, which he didn't do in the.
Yeah, they
Justice
made a
League.
reference. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's definitely Snyder. Like, love it, hate it, as Superwise said.
Yeah,
it's Snyder
exactly.
Cut.
Yeah. But I guess let's wrap up with some final thoughts and briefly talk about the future of DC. Again, I love this movie. I can't wait to see it again. I saw it last week and I took an entire week off just to process it, think about it. And now when I go rewatch it, we're going to
My
see how
Lord.
things change. But I love the movie. It was a fun blast. It had the heart and the emotion that so many moments that Nerdman and I see eye to eye on this for sure about the emotional moments and the certain scenes that really spoke to us. Man, it sucks to see it underperform. It
Yeah.
really does. But
Can I recommend one thing to people? Go and see this film with somebody like my girlfriend, but who knows, just so it has some context, who knows nothing about any scandals or anything. Don't mention CGI to them. Don't, just go and see it with them. I guarantee you'll enjoy it more, because I was hypercritical of the movie until I saw it with her and I could see it through her eyes, and it was just like she was just having a blast. She loves
Nerdman, why are you talking about your girlfriend? I think you forgot to take your schizophrenia pills.
Yeah, exactly. It's an imaginary girlfriend, but it was seeing it through her eyes was still fantastic.
for imaginary eyes. Oh man. So JG, what do you think about the Flash overall?
Like I said earlier, it's like one of those things where, depending on who I'm talking to, I either love it more or I hate it more. I think the overall story was really well done. When it was dramatic, it really hit, especially Barry's choice at the end where he has to decide, okay, do I save my mother or let the world be destroyed? And you have to go back and allow your mother to be murdered so the world can move on. That's a very tough decision.
Very powerful.
Very powerful. And I think if it had consistently been that dramatic style story and throwing in little jokes here and there, it may have been a much better and with better CGI. But overall, I thought it was really good. Not top 3 DCEU films, but it is good.
It's in my top 5, not my top 3.
5.
We'll see after we watch
Really?
where it goes.
What
But
have you
right
got
now,
over
top
it?
5.
What have you over it, David?
Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Justice League. You're gonna hate this one. The Suicide Squad, and App 4 is Flash. So it's close to top 3.
So basically, everything with better CGI.
Basically, yeah.
No, that would literally be every other DCEU movie. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
right.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Even Trash
I
Adam.
still
has
don't get
better
your hate
CGI.
for Black Adam. I really
Bro.
don't get your hate for
Oh,
Black
It's
Adam.
garbage.
dude, don't
It's
get me started on
garbage.
that.
Y'all
Don't
don't
get me
get
started
me
on
started
that.
on
TJ and I, we know. Oh, it's garbage.
Dwayne
I
Johnson
think
ruined my
so.
character.
You ruined. I
okay.
thanked The Rock for bringing back Henry Cavill, though.
Speed run this ranking. My favorite DCEU film is the Suicide Squad. Then
Oh,
I
God.
will go.
Okay.
I knew he was gonna say that.
Then I will go Man of Steel. Then I'll go with The Flash.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Top
Okay.
5. I mean, top
Okay.
3. Yeah.
I mean, The Flash, or it's either that or the first Shazam film. Oh, but Wonder Woman's pretty good. Okay. Suicide Squad, Man of Steel, The Flash, Shazam, Snyder Cut, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, BVS, Justice League, Wonder Woman 1984, and at the lowest, Suicide Squad. I haven't seen Black Adam. And I'm not
You
going to.
can't put Wonder Woman on. Sorry, Wonder Woman 84 is not as above Suicide Squad. I don't care how bad Suicide Squad is. It ain't as bad as Wonder Woman
Wait,
84.
the Suicide
No
Squad or
way.
which Suicide Squad?
Suicide Squad. It ain't
Oh.
as bad as Wonder Woman. I just don't understand. That's hyperbolic to me. Even like
Alright.
Wonder Woman 84 is crazy bad.
It's bad.
Crazy
I
Yeah,
would
it's-
rather see Suicide Squad 2016 over 84 because at least it's like stupid, quick and easy, get in, get out.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a Batfleck cameo that I love. You got a Flash cameo that I love. You got Deadshot,
Amanda
which is a
Waller's
genuinely
pretty
good
boss.
character.
Yeah,
Waller's
I
awesome.
really love the part when Batfleck like traumatizes the child and like beats her father in an alley. Yeah, I really
I
like
did
that.
alleyway.
Dude, I now in retrospect, I kind of love that Batman, and not like I'm saying he's unironically good, but he's like ironically good, like sort of in a Keaton way. I love Keaton in the Burton films because he's insane. Although, let's be real, he's not the main character in either of his movies. The first movie is way too obsessed with the Joker, and the second one is way too obsessed with Catwoman, and also to a lesser extent the Penguin. But Burton has this sort of insane, maniacal quality to him that, like, I like to think that he just hit his head on a rock and snapped, and he's just completely insane. I like to think of Batfleck and Batman v Superman and the first Suicide Squad in the same way, that he's not doing this actually because of trauma, but he's just insane. Yeah,
I
like
wanted it to
I'll
be explored in
tell
this
you-
movie, to be honest.
I'll tell you what movies I have over the Flash. And most of it is just because of CGI. I think if this movie had good CGI, it would probably be one or two. But unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And if it had a good third act battle, even if it was with Dark Flash, but I would have preferred it with Reverse Flash. But that being said, I've got Zack Snyder's Justice League over this. I've got Wonder Woman over this. I actually, at times, I feel like I've got Shazam: Fury of the Gods over this. I do.
Really?
Oh, we
Like
got
that.
Shazam too. Okay,
I
I put
do like
Shazam
that
2
move.
right below Shazam. Right below Aquaman.
And then maybe the Flash, or at least the Flash and Shazam: Fury of the Gods. But that is simply because of the CGI in this film. Other than if the CGI was top notch, I don't think there'd be a comparison. It would be like number 3. So it would be Zack Snyder's Justice League, Wonder Woman, and again, Flash would be better than Wonder Woman if it wasn't for the CGI for me. So it would be Zack Snyder's Justice League than Flash, basically. So it's just that problem I have. I think it's too big to get away from, and especially the third act. I really didn't like that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Em, where does
it's really, really up there, though. It's really
It
it's
is.
number 3 or 4 for me.
It's 4 for me. Yeah.
I like that we've actually managed to have a nuanced discussion. We've given it criticisms in multiple different aspects, from like the narrative to the usage of certain characters to like
Yeah.
this choice of story, the direction, the CGI, of course. And we've actually had like a nuanced discussion talking about the pros and the cons, and we're not just
Praising it.
oversimplifying in art form, right? This is a work of art, and we have to look at it seriously, and we can only hope that it entertains us. I think it entertained all of us to a certain extent, and at the end of the day, for whatever flaws it may have, I'm glad we got to have a nuanced discussion about it. I'm glad it had brought a movie community together. I'm glad that we all got to talk about it, because that's almost as fun as seeing the actual movies themselves, maybe just as fun, because connecting over this art form is something truly special about it. And ultimately, let's just be thankful that this thing exists.
And it's
True.
good.
True.
Imagine we waited.
That it exists.
Yeah.
Honestly, if this movie was bad, I wouldn't be surprised. But it was good. That was cool.
We waited like more than a decade for Black Adam, and that was actual garbage. So this is like the better Black Adam. This is like Black. This is Black Adam if it went well.
Jonathan,
I don't
I
understand
hated the
this
movie so much.
slander, man. Like, did you say it was worse than Thor: Love and
It
Thunder?
was
and
garbage.
Man,
Love and
No,
Thunder is
no,
better.
Yes,
Love
I
and
actually
Thunder
like
is
Thor:
better.
Love and
No.
Thunder.
Love
I actually
and
like Thor. I hate
Okay,
Thor: Love
okay,
and Thunder.
yo.
I like it.
Final thought. Nobody say anything else, okay? Nobody
Enterprises.
Nobody else is
What'd you
going to
think?
speak for the rest of the stream. Subscribe to Cinema Nerd. Everybody do that. That's the most important thing. YouTube.com/Cinema Nerd Ibby. That's your only option. I have an alarm.
Okay,
rate.
Alvin, we get it. Enterprises. What did you think?
I mean, because
yeah,
I guess when it comes to the Flash movie, I probably had a pretty good time. I'd probably put it like top 4, top 5 DCEU movies, but I'm just more relieved that this era is just over. I'm ready to move forward with
I'm
Gunn's
ready,
rendition. You know, ready for the slate, leading for Superman Legacy or like Creature Commandos, I guess, in 2024 to see how it all ties in together and how extensive the continuity will be. Because he was like, oh, it has to be more connected through like gaming and whatnot. I don't know what that's gonna look like, but I guess I'm just really excited to see more of that.
But he shouldn't be going in like different projects. Like, say there's a Wonder Woman game now. I don't think he should be going in to those people and going like, who've been planning this for a year now and like trying to fit his world into it. I think he did that a little bit with the Flash, and I think some of the bad bits about the Flash came from that. I'm not blaming James Gunn for what happened with the Flash, other than him announcing his DC universe a bit too early. But
Surely, yeah.
You know, you can't really blame him for like a film that was shot like before he even came in. But my one thing is he needs to, like, you know, if something has been existing before and being developed before, just let it be. You know, don't try and like fit in. What's the Justice League versus the Suicide Squad? Don't try and fit that into your James Gunn universe. No,
Yeah,
you know,
I think like for projects like that, he'll just probably like label it Elseworlds or something. I don't think he'll like heavily interfere with it.
Needs to. I'm so serious about. He needs to have a DC Studios logo and intro ready for Blue Beetle. You know, definitely by Creature Commandos. And if it's Elseworlds, clearly label it as, because the general audience just needs to get on board for this new DCU.
We have the potential for a DC renaissance, a golden age of DC media outside of the comic books, and maybe the entirety of DC, of this brand, this universe, this area of fiction that has so much richness, so much depth, so much fun to be had, so many interesting and compelling and inspiring and moving stories to be told in so many different ways, so many creative visions to be fulfilled. We can only hope that James Gunn allows it to happen as best as possible. So yeah,
and he's gonna bring that through Booster Gold and Creature Commander.
Gold is gonna be awesome. Hopefully.
Oh, come on, man! All right. Just
concluding thought: the George Clooney cameo sucks.
You said that we should talk about the future just very quickly. I love everything I've heard about Superman Legacy recently.
Yes, dude. Yes,
it was pretty cool what I heard, like what the story is going to be. My one problem is not with James Gunn's plan necessarily; it's with the DC brand and how people feel about it. And I'm just concerned that whatever they do now, rather than, you know, having several projects where you just put 100 million into, or 150 million into, you know, like they did with the Flash, it would be better to think bigger have like 2 or 3 big projects that are really doing something different that nobody's seen before, and focus on that. Now he's already done his slate, so I don't really think he can go back on it. But I just hope
Sorry,
he
guys, I
thinks
was just trolling.
really big with the Superman and Batman, Brave and the Bold movies. That's all I can say.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
those are 2 properties you can't get wrong. You
You
got to get
cannot.
those right.
Yeah, and you know, I love the Flash, and I'm so happy we have the Flash. But as M said, 100% ready to move on to this new phase, this new chapter, and we're in the future right now because as we're speaking, the Superman Legacy auditions have been held, like the screen test. David Cornsweet could be our new Superman, which I'm extremely excited for, and he's going to show Zaslav the tapes soon. And hopefully, because we know Marvel's not going to San Diego Comic-Con next month, hopefully DC sees the opportunity and is like, okay, we're gonna have a panel, we're gonna bring out the legacy cast, and you know, we can enter this future sooner rather than later. So I'm
And we
excited.
know James Gunn
Never gonna
loves
happen.
San Diego Comic-Con. He loves Comic-Con. He's a huge nerd. He's a huge geek like all of us. He's a fan and also a great creator, a great auteur who's getting to helm this universe. I think he will, and if he does, I think he's gonna go with a bang. So we can only reminisce about the past. This is sort of an unintentional swan song to the DCEU, going back to the very beginning, going back to things that have been development for so long, looking back at DC history with so many flaws and so many strengths. And now we can only look to the future and, just like Superman tells us to do, have some hope.
I hope they reveal some of the casting for Superman if they're not going to give us the freaking Fantastic Four casting. Like, how long do I have to endure bad fan casts for Fantastic Four? So
What do you mean?
gotta-
Dude, what are you talking about? We already know Ryan Gosling is Superman.
I hope that girl in the middle does not play
Adam
Lois
Driver's
Lane.
Reed Richards.
I agree. I do not want the girl in the middle to be Lois Lane at all.
I'm sorry.
At all.
Yeah.
All
Listen,
I know is that
I
James
know-
Gunn has an
I know what
excellent
they're going
eye
for.
He has unorthodox casting sometimes, and he has some sort of, more obvious castings. He has never missed with his casting for any of his films. Even his old Scooby-Doo films, I think the casting was on point for those. For Slither, for so many of his projects, so many of the things he's done. He has a great eye for casting, and I think he's truly the best man to shepherd us into the future of Detective Comics. So whatever
comedy
he goes
he
with,
does.
whatever doubts I may have, I believe in Mr. Gunn, as long as he doesn't get canceled again.
I all I need at San Diego Comic-Con is for him to bring out David Cornsweet, and I'll be set for the rest of the year. That's all I need.
You're
Really,
such a
'cause, I mean,
Cornsweetian, aren't you?
Cornsweet is the new
Yes, I
Krasinski.
want him as
Okay,
Superman.
Cornsweet is the new Krasinski for me. All right. I mean, it's just too perfect. Too perfect.
You make
But
the other
look,
guy
looks
look
if
too-
he
he looks
doesn't
too
turn
much
out to be
like Apple.
Cornsweet, which I agree, if you just put a gun to my head and tell me who do you want a Superman, Cornsweet, right? That's who I would say. But James
I
Gunn
hope it's-
knows more information than we do. He has seen things we have not, and if it doesn't end up being Cornsweet, I'll be very happy if it is.
I
But
hope
if
it's
it
not.
doesn't, I have
I hope
faith
it's
in the
not
production.
Nicholas Hoult, and I like Nicholas Hoult, but I rather him Lex than Superman.
Yes.
No, he'd be a better Lex, but I wouldn't
Okay, good, we
really want.
Look at that
him
forehead,
to be-
bro. He needs to be.
No, but he
What do you mean?
I'm-
You guys
look.
didn't like Zuckerberg, Lex?
I actually am the only person on the planet who actually likes Zuckerberg
You
Lex.
said
Alright,
blasphemous things about his Lex. Blasphemous. I never forgot that stream, nerd man.
Okay,
what you
so-
What did I
said.
say?
What you said.
did I
Oh my
say?
god. You said that like he
Zuckerberg
was
Lex
better
is
than he was better than Loki, and he was better than.
He is better than Loki. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, I think we can all
Loki's
agree
bad.
though that Gene Hackman is still the best Lex.
No, he's not. It's
No,
Michael
he's not.
Rosenbaum.
Michael
It's Michael
Rosenberg. I like
Rosenbaum.
him better.
I'll go Michael
Rosenbaum.
Rosenbaum or from The Adventures of Lois and Clark.
Lois and Clark?
was really
forget
good. I
his
know
name.
it's a
What's his
bit
name?
before your time, but that guy was really fucking good.
Yeah, he was.
I
really
grew up
good.
with it. I have
Sorry.
I have the DVDs. Yeah.
Yeah,
How do
I
you
love
know
that
he's
good.
before my time, huh? Why are you assuming my age?
Bro, EB, you
I
sound
don't know. It's maybe that your voice hasn't broken yet. I don't know.
Really young sounding.
I'm
really
using a
old.
voice changer. I'm like Stephen Hawking. This isn't my real voice.
Yeah,
I
but
got a
I'm
Stephen
hella
Hawking
excited for
machine.
Superman Legacy. I need that movie
Yes.
now. It's gonna
The-
be
the idea-
Look, okay. I'm not a kid. Superman Legacy definitely isn't coming out 2 days after my 18th birthday. Okay, definitely not.
Oh, really?
good information to know.
Okay.
Anyway, back to Superman Legacy and relevancy. Man, I think, after Guardians 3, I think he's gonna deliver the heart, the emotion. I hope Legacy is what the Batman was for me. The Batman was the Batman movie I wanted since I was like a kid. I wanted that movie.
Yeah.
So I want that for Legacy. Man, and get Corn Sweat. I'm there. I'm there.
I mean, for me, that'd probably be like The Brave and the Bold, like my definitive Batman film, because I really enjoy the Batman,
man.
but it's like the Bat Family. Like I need that.
I need fantastical Batman. We all need fantastical Batman.
That's another thing about the Flash we didn't mention. That was the one, because I've never been fantastic like on the especially after what George Clooney did. I've never been on the fantastical Batman train. I like the more grounded one. But seeing the Batman in action in the Flash that was just extraordinary. It was like just zipping around, like doing all that stuff. But The Brave and the Bold, you know my issues with it, but it's set.
Yeah.
It's what he's planned. I'll go with it. I don't think he's the man for the job. I'm sorry, I'm not as big on him as you guys are. I do think Guardians was incredible. And so I would much prefer him be in a corner of the DC universe that reflects that. I don't know Superman's the best character for him. I'm thinking Green Lantern with all the weird creatures. He can even stick his brother in as the squirrel or the cat.
I think you're underestimating him, man. I really hope.
But I hope so. I hope
he surprises you.
No, I hope he
but
does.
The thing is, when you look at not just his previous stuff, but his rhetoric, the stuff he's been saying in interviews.
Oh man, perfect.
In articles and his own stuff on Twitter. Elon, dang it! But on Twitter, basically, he has demonstrated a deep, meaningful understanding of Superman. What makes the character tick?
Really?
Some of the most compelling.
Yes, dude. Oh my gosh. When he said
show me
Superman,
a quote.
I'll tell you one right now. Superman sees kindness in a world that thinks kindness is old fashioned. That was like
deep.
That is amazing. That is perfect.
Come on, man. That's just because you're like Snyder didn't get that aspect of Superman.
I love Man of Steel. Okay. I adore Man of Steel. I adore Man of Steel, but I'm ready for Gunn to take it, man.
Again, I mean, it sounds better than
optimistic Superman that does. He fights for peace, justice, and a better tomorrow, but only for America.
Exactly. That's what I want. I want a nationalistic Superman fighting for the American way.
No, it's great. It's great. Lex Luthor can run for president. He'll be the president, and Superman will be the figurehead.
It'll be like Lex Luthor would be like Bernie Sanders and just beats the crap out of him.
Oh man!
Why Bernie Sanders in particular? Huh?
Right into politics.
He's super liberal. But no, look, again, it's not that I'm against it. I just don't think he's like the best idea, like the best of the best idea for the DC universe. I think it's another like, look at how much the MCU made. He was one of the directors who made a lot of money in the MCU. Let's put him as the head of our studio, even though DC really is a little bit more serious in tone in a lot of their characters than we've seen of James Gunn, who's much more good at the comedy stuff. And I think that would fit certain characters in the DC, but not all characters.
Look at the emotional,
I hope
things in Guardians 3, and also
This is what I
My
was going
friend,
to say.
in 745 days, you are going to be proven wrong.
I hope so. I really hope.
So. I'm not a Snyder, like, I hope you guys know, like, and you know, Superwise has seen my opinion. It's a little bit more nuanced than some of the Snyder people who just hate on Gunn. But
it's terrible.
I really, for instance, I didn't like the Suicide Squad. I didn't love it, you know, and that is even more in his wheelhouse. You know, I would have thought that's more in his wheelhouse, and I didn't love that. So, but at least everyone else did. So that's a good thing. You know, I can just be like the one grumpy old guy who, you know, didn't really get it. So, but with Superman, that's a very special character to me. So,
my favorite fictional character of all time.
I really want to enjoy that movie. And I don't want, and also, you know, one of the things I didn't like that he said was, like, I'm not going to put comedy in it. It's like he's saying everything that he wants us to hear. And for me, the most important thing for me is, like, a director really does and says what he wants to say about the character. And if comedy, he wants to make a comedic Superman movie, if that's his instincts, do that. Don't make it all serious because, like, fans are saying so. That's what Matt Reeves did.
I think there's going to be
I would rather Matt Reeves take over the DCEU, but Matt Reeves did that. He said what he wanted to say. He didn't care, you know, like, you know, people are going to get angry about an emo Bruce Wayne. He didn't care about that stuff. It was like, I'm going to say what I want to say about this character. And it
was unapologetically his vision. But I'm telling you, there's going to be a nice balance of the serious and the comedy. I think the comedy really is going to stem from Clark Kent's persona, him being the you know, the lovable goof that trips and falls, and there's going to be a lot of good, I hope, physical comedy.
I've been wanting to see something in live action that we still haven't gotten yet. I need to do him to do the thing that he does sometimes in comics and sometimes in, like, the DCEU. I need him to shave his beard by doing the laser.
He did that in Lois and Clark. He did that in Lois and Clark, the show.
Oh, did he? I haven't seen Lois and Clark. So.
Yeah, he did that. Dean Cain did that. But yeah, I mean, I'm so excited. I'm ready for his vision, and hopefully we get something next month. And if so, definitely live streaming that one to react to it, because Marvel ain't showing up, and we gotta wait. As M said, we gotta wait like 70 more years for Fantastic Forecasting.
So. We're not gonna know the cast until the movie comes out.
Probably right. Yeah. Did you guys see Secret Invasion?
Yeah, I saw the first episode.
Watch it, when this thing,
I did.
I haven't seen it. When this is over.
Nerdman. I think if anything, you would tolerate it. I don't know if you would like it, but I think you'd be it's not too bad.
Nerdman's like a big MCU fan, right? That's what I
heard.
Massive,
the biggest MCU.
No, but Secret Invasion is like it's Winter Soldier. It's grounded. It's gritty. It's like I was impressed with the first episode.
It has one banger of an ending.
Yeah, man.
The final shot. Yeah, you'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I got halfway through it. It was pretty good so far.
Yeah, definitely watch it. I think it's totally.
I want to watch the Superman and Lois first, and then I'll watch that.
Oh,
because I haven't seen the Lex Luthor.
You haven't seen. I didn't see the episode today, so I gotta watch it. See how that Lex is.
Yeah, it's finally Lexus. Yeah, gonna be in it. So I want to see.
People say he's good. So what was that, Kamizu?
I thought that show ended already.
No, it's got like 2 more episodes, I think, or one.
My lord,
2 or 1.
That one episode felt like the finale.
Yeah, and then season 4, we're getting season 4 with budget cuts. How do you feel
I'm not happy about that. It's like they cut on all the side characters. Yeah, I'm not for that.
There's also just not going to be Superman, you know? He's just going to be Clark.
DC fans have basically bankrupted DC. Like, I don't know how much money James Gunn's even going to get for his Superman movie. Dude. Like, honestly, this is why I'm saying.
Okay, one episode.
Hear me out. DC meets Mortal Kombat. Somehow, or DC meets, or do like an adaptation of like the game, exactly.
The game.
Or do an adaptation of. No, I know the game is fun, but but I mean a more serious version of like just do something. Or this new Warworld trailer that came out.
No.
Oh, Justice League World.
You're talking about that? Yeah.
If you see the concept for that, do a movie like that, or do like the button thing where they meet the Watch. I think DC needs to focus on 1 or 2 movies. Put 200 to 250 million in them. Make them massive. Give them a concept that even if you're a DC hater, you have to. You can't refuse to watch, like by adding like a couple of Mortal Kombat characters or doing something crazy like that, and then move the universe on from there. And I have a good way of doing that, by the way, even though it sounds like just a batshit like Predator versus Alien. I'm not talking about that. I have an actually good way of doing it, but
Write a script treatment. I'm curious.
Yeah, I'll give you my thoughts another time, but I don't want to elongate this thing.
Yeah, I mean that this is such a great discussion about the Flash. I'm glad that we went into the pros, the cons, everything. I'm definitely going to see it again and see. I don't think my opinion is going to change much on rewatch, if any. So,
I might see it in the next couple of decades again.
Nice. Very nice. And we're looking forward to the future, and
I'm not.
We'll see how it goes.
I'm not. Why aren't you?
Me neither, buddy. Me neither.
With AI taking over,
I'm getting old, and Superman Legacy doesn't come out until I'm like 30. So,
dog, your age changes every day. Last time you told us your age, you said you were 2.
Hey, 30 ain't old, bro. Just
dude, and 28. That is old.
No, it's not old, dude. You've got
a gray hair yesterday.
You've got to make use of it, dude. Trust me, 30 ain't old. But yes, I know exactly how you feel. I'm like, this DC universe ain't gonna come out till like
exactly.
I don't know, bro.
I'm actually happy that we have legacy news.
What?
Like we have legacy news
cinemas
now.
are going to be around when the DCU
Man, we have more news on Superman Legacy castings, and that doesn't come out until July. Fantastic Four is crickets.
Yeah, I adore the Fantastic Four, and I've given up. I've just like when the cast drops, it drops. Like I don't care.
Krasinski's not in it.
and
what
did you think about Kraven the Hunter trailer, by the way, before you go?
It was interesting. Listen,
Kraven time.
Listen, it's gonna be a movie where I walk in, spend an hour and 30-minute movie, have fun with it, and be done with it. Him getting powers from lion's blood, that's a choice.
Catwoman.
It's Sony. It's Sony. You know how it goes. I'm so man, that's crazy.
Does he actually
I'm
get
much
powers
more
from
excited
lion's
for
blood? I didn't really
Kraven
understand.
than the Insomniac.
Yeah, he got trailers from a drop of lion's blood. Oh man!
I mean, I'm much more
he's
excited
Aquaman.
for
He's the land Aquaman nerd man.
The other Kraven appearance in October of this year, which is an Insomniac's Marvel Spider-Man 2.
It's Kraven month in October, which is I
Yeah.
guess that works out. Maybe people who like the game will show up. October, yeah.
It's Kraven time.
Wow. Really gonna settle the superhero fatigue. Can you imagine? We're gonna get Aquaman 2, Blue Beetle, Kraven,
The
and then
Marvels.
what else? The Marvels. The Marvels might be the best movie out of all of those. I'm not even lying.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that's what was me.
Well, the Marvels comes out the
Could be better than
same
Kraven.
day as a sequel to one of John's favorite movies. It's going to be Dune Part 2.
Ugh.
Oh,
Overrated,
God.
right, Nerdman? Right, Nerdman? Overrated?
I really wanted to love that movie because I
Me
love
too.
the director.
Oh my gosh.
I just keep thinking that director needs to go back to crime stuff.
Prisoners is his best movie.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't love the what was it? Blade Runner 2000.
What are you talking about? Blade Runner 2049 is one of the best movies of the 21st
I
century.
actually like that one.
Yeah, I like that one. I like it more than Dune.
I like it more than Dune,
Yeah,
but that doesn't say much. But like Prisoners is way better. Come on, Prisoners.
Yeah, Prisoners is the gold standard for him. It's his
And
best
he
film.
did a French movie as well. If you guys don't know about
Yeah, he's a French dude.
I forget what it's called, but yeah, I
it's
know what you're talking
called
about.
yeah, but it's a really good movie. Watch that and then watch Prisoners, and you'll see like he does much better crime stuff, I think. Than
Did you guys
sci-fi.
know he's directing The Godfather Part 4?
There's a
Whoa,
part
what?
No, he isn't.
He's
That's-
trolling. He's trolling.
I'm about to say, dude, don't make me go off.
They're doing an AI deepfake of Michael Corleone, and he's
Oh
black.
God, what the Flash has opened up.
And he's black, by the way, just to trigger the internet. They don't think it'll make enough money if they don't make it controversial.
Oh, that would have been awesome. Like the Flash could have gone through other WB movies as well. Like just run into Goodfellas. Remember he ran into Goodfellas universe?
That's
Funny how
very
funny, like I'm a
ambitious.
clown.
Yeah, CGI
No,
Pauly.
look, Joe Pesci in Goodfellas is just like Ezra Miller in real life. You never know when he's gonna explode. You never know when he's gonna go off on you.
You think I'm funny? You think I amuse you? What's
Yeah,
funny?
yeah, how am I funny?
How am I funny? Yeah. Oh man, that's perfect.
I'm a clown. I amuse you. I make you laugh.
Oh man, it's peak. But
Boy,
that was the
guys,
stream.
real quick, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Is the Marvels a musical?
Part of it is gonna be where they go
Okay.
to like a musical planet.
Well, time for cancer.
Joker 2 is gonna be a musical. I love musicals.
Oh,
I'm so
wait,
excited
double
for Joker
cancer.
2.
That's
No,
great.
no,
That's
no.
really great.
West Side
no,
Story is still the
Joker.
best movie of 2021.
Please tell me Joker 2 isn't going to be a musical. Please
That's
tell me that.
double
Just
It's
a
gonna,
rumor.
that's what they say it's gonna be.
Oh my god.
Okay,
Cancer.
dog.
That's what the
Okay, okay,
trade's
pull it
called
off.
it.
It's a stroke of genius.
I think you're gonna tap into the madness of the relationship through a musical. I think it's genius. I think it is.
I
if
think it's-
executed well.
I think it's a recipe for disaster for Warner Brothers,
But this is the perfect.
and
man.
they're
I
going to
just hate musicals.
absolutely annihilate it. And you know what it's going to do? It's going to get the haters of the Joker, which was an actually fantastic movie, to
Yeah,
retroactively go, "Oh, the Joker was trash as well." I bet you.
Revisionist history,
I
yeah.
bet you revisionist history all
No,
the
but
way.
look,
It'll happen.
Was
I
overrated.
think as much as I disagree with you on that, I think they're going in bold, interesting new directions. At least they're trying something interesting. If you're gonna continue off of Joker, which is perfect as its own movie, you better swing for the fences. I think with great auteurs like Todd Phillips and James Gunn, and if they can get Christopher Nolan back in their corner, they've got James Mangold sub up. They might have Matthew Vaughn for The Authority. Wasn't that?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Is
If they
that
keep having
Matthew Vaughn for The
James
Authority
Gunn,
would be
Matthew
bad.
Vaughn, Denis Villeneuve, Todd Phillips, Ryan Coogler, great auteurs like that, then I think they have a good future ahead of them.
Hey, if they get that dude for
That's
The
what that was.
Authority, that would be special.
The Dirk's
That
got
would be special.
perfect.
And
I'm
it
telling you,
wouldn't
man.
it wouldn't even be exciting for me for The Authority necessarily, but just to know he's in the DC camp, Matthew Vaughn, would
Yeah.
be fantastic. That would be a steal. He's
Oh,
He
Like
also
him
directed
again.
Superman, or
I thought
he
he would be
wanted
great
to
in
do
Brave and the Bold
Superman,
if he
Man
wanted
of Steel
to.
too.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I thought
He'd
he'd
be
be perfect
perfect
for Brave
for
and Bold.
Matthew Vaughn in anything with a good script, he's gonna crush it.
I think
I
you
love
could
the action of
even
Kingsman.
he could even pull off. James Gunn isn't going to be the showrunner on Peacemaker season 2. I think Matthew Vaughn could take over that.
He would fit it. He would fit it.
I mean, Kick-Ass,
Nah.
Peacemaker, not too far apart.
Yeah, I think him for Authority is that is just he's gonna make something we've never seen before.
Trash.
Not trash
Just
Authority.
kidding.
I can't. People need to pick up Authority comics. This movie hopefully is gonna get more awareness because Authority.
Yeah,
is
I
very
mean,
cool.
because I remember like that in Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, like they sold out on like Amazon, like around that time
Yeah,
frame.
man.
He
Yeah,
should
man.
just to help DC Comics get sold, he should announce things based off of comics that he's not actually doing.
They just bait everyone into, but that's awesome because you don't have that with the MCU. They're like based on the Marvel comics is always
Yeah,
in their
'cause, like,
critics, but
a lot
they're
of them
never-
they directly tell the creatives not to read the like. I remember there was an article
yeah.
that just came out. They were like,
Yeah, that was
one of the people behind Secret Invasion, they were told
They
not
told
to
them
read the comic book.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
not smart.
That's like luckily Secret Invasion so far is good. So if as long as it's good, then you know
It's not like the comic Secret Invasion though.
definitely
at all.
not. Definitely not. Absolutely not. But recommend.
Good things. Good things. We can only hope for them.
Yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Nerdman's like, okay, I'm ready.
I'm also ready to end the
yeah.
dang stream.
Yeah, this is a great stream.
I'm gonna bounce if you. Oh, you're gonna go. You're gonna go. Okay.
Yeah,
go.
yeah, we're gonna wrap up. You can plug
all
your
dipping.
channels and stuff. So starting with JG, where can people find you?
You can find me Wednesday nights on the OOC with the great Onzo and the great Roberto talking our shiznit. You can find me with the great Superwise talking our comic book geek stuff like I love. You can find me Twitter, Shaolin_terrific.
Kamuzu?
You can find me in the back alley of a strip club. I need to sell drugs there.
Dog.
Alrighty then. That took a turn.
Wow.
But you
He
can
has a
find my
YouTube channel, by the way, guys.
Oh yeah, I do. You can subscribe to my channel, Kamuzu B, if you want to. I'm not your dad. You don't have to do it. And you always follow my Instagram, Kamuzu661, I think it is. And you know, the Flash was cool. I can drug you next.
Oh yeah, that line in the movie. Yeah, Nerdman, where can people find you?
You can find me also in the back alley with Kamuzu, yelling at him. I'll suck your dick, man, if you give me some drugs.
Wow.
Dog, I'm trying to put my YouTube channel on my college applications, dude.
That reminds me of the scene in Tropic Thunder where Jack Black is like hung
Yeah.
to the tree. He's like, I'd do anything. Oh man.
No, I'm on hot takes Tuesdays, and as it said in the title, and yeah, if you want to just somebody who like reviews MCU movies like very fairly, and you know, just a true fan of that universe, then come to my channel, watch it.
That's the place. M Enterprises, it was great to talk to you for the first time. Where can people find you?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And primarily, you can find me on YouTube. You know, at M Enterprises, the channel pretty much covers anything from like Marvel and DC and all aspects from like comics, games, movies, etc. And yeah, follow me on there if you're interested in that kind of stuff.
Great. Ibby?
All right. So for those of you watching on my channel, which I think is nobody, but regardless, for those of you watching on Superwise's channel, you can find me at youtube.com/@cinemanerdibby. I also have other social medias, but I don't use them. I have a Discord. Ibby the Nerd is my username because Discord has rolled out a new username system. My letterboxed, Cinema Nerd Ibby. Follow my letterboxed. What other things do I have? You can follow me. I don't know.
Do you also sell drugs?
I mean, yeah, but I'm not gonna. I'm trying to keep that on the DL.
Not anymore.
Fair.
Not anymore.
I kind of just outed it. My bad, guys.
I mean, like, you know,
I
look.
want to trim this out the stream.
Okay, look. Don't
Peace,
ask.
guys. I gotta go. Bye.
Yeah,
Thanks
Bye
for
now,
joining,
man.
man.
I mean, don't. No, I'm. Look, we'll talk
My
to you.
bad, man.
Okay.
My
we'll
bad.
talk to you.
Today would be nice, Ibby. Well, whatever you sold, you gave it to Andy in terms of CGI. That must have been powerful stuff. But
No, you gave it to the CGI supervisor. That's what you gave it to. That's what you gave it to.
yeah,
I
them too.
would like to invoke my Fifth Amendment rights.
I get that reference. I understand that reference.
I don't.
Anyway, that was the stream.
What do you
Thank you
mean
guys
it's
so much
reference?
for joining. I'm wrapping up. My God. You can find me here on Superwise. I got a Discord. These people are crazy. These are my homies. I always appreciate them joining. Thank you for joining in the comments down below. And if DC has a San Diego Comic-Con panel, we will be doing that next month.
Oh wait, one more thing.
Yes.
All right, guys, you can follow my letterbox. You want to see the most base takes on there. Also,
Hey, okay, one more thing.
yeah, we all got one more thing.
Yo, John.
Yeah.
You still haven't told us your top three.
Top 3 Cobra Kai women. Yes.
And we're moving on. Thank you guys for joining,
Bro,
and we will
give us
see
a
you
list.
next time.
Give
Bye,
us a
guys.
list.